Hello and welcome to a very special GodisaGeek podcast. We are here, not live, pre-recorded, to talk about one game and one game only. My name's Adam Cook, I'm your host for this very special Spoilercast. And what game is it? Well, it's Resident Evil Village. Before we get into any spoilers, let's introduce our cast of villagers, maybe. Adam Carroll, hello mate.
Good evening, Adam Cook, how are you?
Confused because it's definitely not evening, but hello Chris.
Well, look, it is in my world.
It is in your world. Hello Chris White, you right?
Hello, yeah. I'm a bit disappointed you didn't do the voice when you introduced Resident Evil.
Ah, yeah, okay, I suppose I could.
It's all right.
Oh, no,
It's been a fantastic introduction.
Thanks very much. Chris Hyde. Chris Hyde, do you want to do the voice?
Are you okay?
Yeah, no, I'm grand. I'm feel a bit hurt that I've
confused, hurt, all the emotions.
You didn't let me down. You just would have added a bit, but it's fine.
That's fine too. Okay, listen, we're here to talk about Resident Evil Village, and we will say right now, if you have got this far, having read the title Resident Evil Village Spoilercast, and you're still confused, this is going to be us breaking the game down to explicit spoilers. Well, hey, Lady Dimitrescu, some explicit content is here. I would recommend very strongly that if you have not yet finished Village, go and do that. This podcast will still be here in video and in audio form. But don't listen to it now and then go in the comments and go, I can't believe they spoiled the end of the video game. Because, one, that's a really strange voice you've got. And two, it says Spoilercast right there. And I've just told you that after I've finished, I'm giving you time. Like, I'm looking at the recording. It's 2 minutes done, right? It's 2 minutes of waffle. Adam, Chris, and Chris can see the desperation of my. You can see it. It's a video. I'm desperately waffling to give you the chance to reach to your phone or anything and press stop because you haven't finished the game yet. But we have. That's enough waffle. What we're going to start with is we're going to Chris White, who's reviewed the video game. That review is up a few days ago at the time this is allowed to go live. Adam Carroll doesn't know the score. Do you want to know the score right now, Adam, or not?
I can accept it now, as we're recording.
Okay. Well, so what we're going to do is we're going to let Chris give you his score. We're going to let Chris give you his expectations of what he perhaps thought and hoped for. And, I mean, the score's going to be fairly telling of what he thinks of the game, but then perhaps go into a little bit more depth about how he feels about the game. Mr. White, if you would.
Okay, so I gave the game a 6. I didn't. I just wanted to see Adam's face.
I knew the score and I was confused and I was like, have you changed it?
I mean, I know at the time of recording this, I've just done
for a split second there. I was like,
I know.
Whoa!
I know.
You were speeches. I've done the video review at the time, and I'm like, no, he didn't. Shit, has he changed his mind? Because I've
yeah, no, I've rewritten it.
Yeah,
no, so I gave it a 9, a big old 9.
Oh, Adam's face.
Going into Village, I expected the story of Ethan to continue in a much faster pace. It's on PS5 now. I was expecting a lot bigger, kind of in terms of both the environments and the story. I thought it would be longer. I hoped for more originality in terms of characters, and like I mentioned this in the review, and what I wanted was not to rely on the past. If they're moving forward with a new trilogy, I was hoping to kind of to move forward and evolve in different ways. They were my expectations.
Okay.
Dramatic pause.
Okay. Chris, I think you go next.
Okay, so my expectations of... Okay, so I have not played Shock Horror Resident Evil 7, which is the first in the trilogy. I know. Thankfully, there's a handy recap for idiots like me at the start of Resident Evil Village that they strongly recommend you watch, and I'm glad I did.
I watched that too, having played Resident Evil 7, and it was useful.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, it was. What I was expecting from this game, I was expecting to get Resident Evil 4 vibes from what I'd seen from the trailers, and some of the nods that they were clearly playing towards that game. I was expecting a meaty game. I was expecting some new ideas, And yes, like Chris said, I was expecting some big environments and some varied locales. So that's what I was expecting from Resident Evil Village.
Okay. I'm just going to jump in and say that I really echo both of your thoughts on it. I think I was expecting all what she said, along with a kind of a very gothic tone. The Resi 4 thing was really set in stone. It felt that they were going to go that direction, but I thought maybe a bit more gothic because there was all those rumors leading up to werewolves and stuff like that and vampires and all that kind of jazz. And it was definitely I don't know how other Resi fans thought of that. I definitely was up for that, and I think new ideas was definitely a big thing, which is weird to say considering 7 alone is a new idea for the franchise. So to be asking for new ideas so quickly was kind of almost I felt like I was being maybe slightly greedy on it, but we just have to get into this soon. Well, but Adam Cook,
kind of, I said it on our Patreon Discord. I was expecting. There was something off about the way this game was marketed to me. There was something that was not an alarm bell ringing, but I felt like they had shown... Well, I felt like the internet took the Lady Dimitrescu stuff and ran with it at such a pace that it did their job for them. And that made me think, she's not in this game as much as you think she is. I think they wanted me to expect this game is all about her, or about Ethan versus her. But slowly it became apparent to me I was expecting that she wasn't going to be in the game as much as perhaps marketing suggested, but I was also expecting this to be a kind of like The Last of Us Part 2 did for Resi, in that it pushes things on. It was the middle of a trilogy, but I thought it would be a really big game, like 20 plus at least, maybe pushing nearer the 25, 30 hours. I just had this feeling that she would be maybe one part of the game, and they had not revealed any of the other parts, but she would be a big part of the game, but not the game. And I think I was half right in my expectations.
I think we were all half right with our expectations, but none of us
some would
were
say
100%.
Maybe even a fifth right. Where do we want to start here? Do we want to start with the intro? Do we want to start with the kind of... There is a weird... The intro's weird.
Because you can't... They showed a bit in the trailer, didn't they, with Chris Redfield being there. And I think with the end of 7, where he kind of pops in, and because he introduced himself as Redfield and he was with Umbrella, I know they released the Not a Hero, which kind of explained that.
Yeah.
But it was still... Something wasn't quite right. So when he kills Mia, you're thinking... Well, you'd know that that's not... He hasn't really killed his girlfriend or his wife, but it's a bit weird. And then as they're living... I just want to say, actually, the intro with the fancy... the gaming-esque was fantastic.
Okay, so am I the one that didn't like that?
Oh, I liked it because it bridged the gap between Rose the baby and the world of Resident Evil with this kind of gothic, macabre tale, and it just kind of it pulled me in a bit, and I knew something was going to happen here, and I thought it was going to be something happening to the child. Which I guess it kind of does.
It does.
But it was anyway, it was Redfield that comes in with the BSAA, guns down Mia, kidnaps Ethan. And then, obviously, you just kind of thrust into this village. You've got no idea where they've moved to, although from the tone, it's like Eastern Europe.
Before we get there, can we linger a little bit? Because I think I want to say that Adam and I, the one thing we discussed is we were a bit weirded out by that intro. Because there's a couple of things for me I want to just sort of not dwell on, but pause on. Like the intro, the animation does make sense when everything's finished. Like when the game's finished, it's kind of not. I'm not going to go like, oh, it's clever. It's what it is. I was kind of almost put off by that right away because like I know. Do you know what? You ain't going to like this one. It reminded me a little bit of Balan Wonderworld, how there's this incredible intro, and it's like, but the game's not going to look like this. They're not going to suddenly have a. So why have they done this? Also, why have they shown this in the trailers? And especially when you finished it and you understand that it's like the story is, it's their story. The intro story is that's them, and that makes no fucking sense. And then they do that, and then Chris, for some reason, who by the way, I'm pretty sure in the intro they tell you he relocated them to make them safe.
Yeah, he did.
If not in the intro, they do tell you that.
They moved there, like
Chris then, and this is I'll have to let go of this at some point. I know. Chris then bursts in and shoots her, and whether or not that is her or not, even at the time, if you're thinking, is it? They've just told you Chris kind of saved them, relocated them, and importantly says trained Ethan as well, or they trained Ethan.
Mm-hmm.
As an intro, that bit to me is bad. Like, it makes no sense. It's also really plodding, like carrying the baby around. It's like, yeah, we get it, it's a baby. There's all this interactivity that's kind of not really, doesn't do anything. But then, when the crash happens and you start walking through the darkness, I'm excited because I'm like, oh shit, I think they've gone back to the horror. Because that's, whether it's the modern technology, the HDR, the lighting, whatever, but it's terrifying. It's really unnerving. Walking through that snow, but that's just I would say that about the intro. I don't know because Adam, I know you. No, sorry, Chris. You also.
I have a slightly different take on it. So I think probably because of my current situation with a little girl and not long being in that situation where I'm holding a daughter, nappies. You go and turn on the TV and there's a bloody kids show playing.
I don't
know if you guys all did that. I was like, they understand this, nappies everywhere, everything like that. And my daughter's middle name's Rose, so there's a little bit of a.
I didn't know that.
So there's a little bit there. Yeah. So I quite liked it. I didn't mind just plodding around the house, going all the rooms, reading all the little things you don't have to read.
Don't get me wrong. I don't want to sound like I'm like, oh my god, this is fucking awful and angry.
No,
I was just a bit like,
And I think because I've not played 7, like I wanted to build up, okay, what's going on here? Like more for me.
Yeah, of course.
So I read a few of the things, like you say, like the relocation thing and the couple of things like that. And I will agree with you. Like, I've still played enough Resident Evils to know that Chris shouldn't be coming in
killing the good guys,
killing the good guys with that, and then not explaining himself and all that sort of stuff. So, but I mean, that is meant to shock you. They do try and explain it a bit later on why.
They definitely explain it, but they don't explain it well enough because even. Who is it that says, and we are jumping around a little bit, but who is it later on that even says to him, you should have told him?
I mean, right near the end, they go, no, you should have told him. And he says, like, he admits that he should and that he just didn't want to get him involved in it.
But
and obviously
sorry, I'm getting angry at you. You're called Chris, but you're not that Chris. You know what I mean? I'm getting angry at Chris for not being like, I mean, come on. Like, you relocated him and then just burst in and shot his wife. I'm like, but don't get involved, mate. Yeah, because Ethan would definitely not get involved. You trained him, by the way, Chris. Not you. Sorry, again, not you.
Obviously the whole point is not that they then left him to then pursue them. They obviously took them hostage and then we're obviously progressing the story a little bit, but took them hostage and then obviously what...
We'll get to what happened there, but again, even that, I'm kind of alluding to it. Although I would hope if people are listening this far in, they would now have finished the game. So I really hope no one's got this far, without finishing the game. But like even then, Chris admits that he fucked up and that he made the mistake, and it's like, but he kind of shouldn't because he's sort of got experience. Anyway, Adam Carroll, we've kept very quiet. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. No, I just want to say, I think the intro from the word go was incredibly surprising. Just starting straight away with that storybook, that Tim Burton-esque vibe. It was a first for the whole series. I actually thought I might have started the wrong game. It was really it was so it was so
that's the vibe I got as well. Yeah,
I was like, what's going on here? And then for me, the same thing happened with 7, where this new first person's perspective for the series is very exciting, and it's bringing in a new kind of fear, and I absolutely love 7, so I was very excited for this. And I think from the word go, when you're walking around with the baby and stuff, I actually felt on edge straight away, because I was like,
the lighting is part of that.
This kind of house and this vibe and walking up the stairs, and Mia's constantly has her back turned and she's cooking the food, and I'm just like, I don't know, and I'm walking around and waiting for something horrendous to kick off.
The original Last of Us, it reminded me of a bit where you were walking around the house.
Same.
Yeah, I love picking up the stuff where it was like news articles about 7 and stuff like that, and that was all really fun and entertaining. And then that moment happens with Mia, and Chris comes in, and I was like, whoa, what the hell? I will say straight off the bat, we'll get to it later on, but I have to say from the word go, for me, Ethan Winters as a character is something we'll talk about soon, but there, in that moment, straight away, was where I was like, I don't know if I'd be that calm if I just saw my wife getting shot to shit. Like, he just kind of goes, Mia, and like she's just gotten like wasted with bullets.
She's very clearly not alive.
It's so violent, and you're just like, huh? And he's just like looking at Chris, and he had this little conversation. I'm like, I would be freaking out, but look, that's a different thing. I thought the intro was really cool, and then it goes to the crash, and then off we go from there.
I will say that I think that intro is so flawed when you know how the game ends, because they literally, what is it he says, like, we weren't aware she could take the form of a corpse. But like, I'm sorry, from Resident Evil games apart, and maybe I'm too into the lore here, but like, there's even a Resident Evil where you have to burn the bodies because they can otherwise come back to life. It's like, come on.
Yeah. I know it's a different kind of mold, isn't it? It's a different kind of infection. So I guess they're still learning, and the fact that it only they only discovered it with what was happening with Evelyn in 7.
See, this is the thing. I don't think I fully understand the mold stuff.
I'm not a fan of the mold stuff, I'm going to say.
I don't think I understand it. I don't think having played 7 and 8, Village, sorry, whatever we call it, I don't think I understand the mold stuff, but we should, the game starts, you're actually playing the game, you walk through the snow. I really like that. It was maybe
atmosphere was crazy.
Atmosphere maybe a touch too long, but again, I actually had a problem with, I think it's a thing, I often used to turn the brightness in video games up beyond when they say, make sure you can only see the little, and I'm like, 2 more notches up, because I want to actually be able to fucking see it. And this game's like the dark bits,
it is dark.
Are so dark that I'm like, I was sort of worried at one point. It's like, can I go the wrong way here? Because I'm not sure if I'm going the right. And then you do, obviously, I don't think you could. You'd have to be bad really to cock that up, right? I think there's only one way to go. If you
I think there is.
Yeah. I just want to say there that like the start of the crash, I think like when we were talking about like expectations, and if you actually had the conversation of like, why do you think the story will start, knowing the locations that are put in place, when it's a car crash, just gonna say right up, they need to end these car crashes, and you're just there.
Yeah, I don't get it.
It's just slightly a bit lazy, and it's a bit like, there you go, and I'm a bit kind of like, what? Could we not have had something where?
Well, where are they? Like, they say at the start of the game, they've relocated to Europe, right?
Yeah.
So, where's the village?
I would say it looks like Romania, like the.
But like the house they're in, your house, Ethan's house, it's quite a nice house, like modern. Like you look at the telly and that, but then So have I misunderstood the story? So they shoot Maya, they throw them all in the car, and they're taking them somewhere.
Yeah.
And then the crash, because of, obviously we know why, we'll get to it. But so you think the village, Chris, is like Romania, but do you think that's where they live? Like it's just another village in the country they're in, is what I mean.
I think it's not worth looking too much into it because it's resi, right?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
But like,
you're right. I'm sorry.
I know. The amount of like BSAA helicopters in the game.
Yeah.
If it was, you'd think it was quite a distance away from the village because, like they've clearly been investigating this village for a while.
Yes.
But then it seems like they've relocated them quite close. And if you're traveling like a long distance,
you could
surely you would travel via helicopter, not a car.
But then Ethan does.
It's resi.
Yeah, but Ethan then when he arrives, he's like, did he say where is this or where am I? I think he says like, where am I? And it's like, if you lived in that country and you were close enough that there was like a quaint little village where kind of people live in shacks, I think you'd know.
But they've been travelling for a while because it's like the daytime or the morning or whatever. Because
it's just coming light, isn't it? Yeah.
But and then he finds his way to this village and
gets attacked by a werewolf. Lycan.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But like just like, yes, this is Spoilercast, but it's just worth mentioning like how at that point you feel so helpless.
Oh yeah.
And then
You get given a knife, don't you? And you're like, great.
Faced by one werewolf.
This will do fuck all.
Where's the first box?
Cheers, knife. Of course there is a knife, but cheers.
Yeah.
But you're faced with like one werewolf, and that werewolf is enough for you to shit your pants and start running. Like you've got, but then by the end of the game, you've like got fucking all sorts, and you're taking out like hordes of them. But like it builds out fantastically.
It's very resi, innit? You start with a knife and you shit your pants, and you end up being like, "Yeah, let's have it," with a bottle of beer in your hand and a grenade launcher on your shoulder, like,
Well, we'll get to all that in a down the line here, but like I have to say, like the build up of going into the village, getting the knife and stuff, it is your classic resi. I think the fear is within the player. I think it's tense and stuff. What it does then, which is kind of mad as well, but kind of expected, is how heavily they go straight to Resi 4.
Oh yeah.
Because if you take on the Resi 4 intro where you go to that village and all the folk come at you, you get a very similar situation here in Village, and you get this fucking huge bastard with a mallet jumping down, and it's all kicking off, and you're like, what's that? And then they all just kind of disperse.
Someone rings a bell, but they don't. Well, they do ring a bell, don't they?
I can't remember exactly, but they just take off. It's a very similar thing to 4, and then I think like that's where the game then starts. Your sense of discovery kicks in.
Question about that section. So, like you say, they're all, you even barricade the doors and stuff like in Resi 4.
Yeah.
It is. There's no. I mean, they're allowed to pay homage to it. It's their series, but it is 100%. Hey, remember Resi 4? But with werewolves.
Yeah.
Is there a time? Is there a time limit to how long it wants you to fend them off before the sort of story cutscene comes in and like big fellas at the top going, and then they come in on the horses, which by the way I don't think they ever use again.
Never see those guys.
You never see the guys on the riding horses ever again. I just realised that as I'm talking about it. They've shown that in the trailers. But is there like because I survived quite a while and then I was like, there's just too many of them, and then you end up kind of, I don't know if I just got to the right place in that cutscene.
I remember that you get to the
like
red gate.
Bit.
You walk up to the red gate, and that's what happened for me.
Okay.
I obviously, and the thing with it being first person is you can't see anything behind you, so that intensifies the fear. Whereas in all the others, you can kind of see around you at least. Yeah. But I think it's when you get to that red fence, then that's when it kind of clicks in that cutscene.
So where do we want to go from here? So like,
I think
you start exploring the village.
Yeah.
And I think like there's randomly like there might be a lichen here or there, or there's one or two of them, and then it becomes not pixel hunting, because I feel like Adam, I don't know about how you feel about this, but I feel like straight away like I'm trying to find stuff, and I felt like not so much pathfinding, but I find like I feel like I'm not finding my way around the village very well. And now is that
like you get your map and stuff, and you can see your pets, and it does the job of like you haven't discovered here, it'll stay red, and then if you've discovered everything or got every item, it goes blue. So these kind of things. But I did end up getting stuck in one part of the village for no joke an hour. Like I have to say, I just couldn't. I text you, Ed, and I was like,
"Oh, it is that bit." Okay.
I was like, I have discovered. I went everywhere, and I can't figure out what I'm doing wrong.
So I got lost there as well, because when you said you'd played for like 4 or 5 hours, I thought you were ahead of me. So when I got stuck there, I was like, "Oh, thank God, there's someone else I know that is playing this." And then you're like, "Oh no, I'm still in the castle." I'm like, "Oh shit!"
So I
know I'm the furthest ahead.
Let's go to the castle, because I think the castle.
You explore the village a little bit. You get to sort of grips with the controls a little bit, and then you realise, oh,
you
there's
meet
a castle.
You meet the woman with her dad. And
of course, there's all that. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all quite enjoyable, but it feels a bit like fluff, because it's sort of. It doesn't.
I mean, I guess the whole point is that you think, well, first off, it's like there's no more survivors in the
that's
village.
True. Yeah, true.
And then I guess it does the other thing where you think, oh, I'm going to have like a little pal for a little bit of the next part of the adventure, and then you just go, nah, you're on your own. So I suppose it does that, and you literally go, right, okay, now I'm literally the only one left. The safe house is gone. burned to and literally it's me versus whatever's out there.
Lichens and
so I think
everything.
so I guess that is what it does, and that's certainly the feeling I got when I jumped out of that burning house. It's like, okay, right, now it's like this me now, and that's it. So that it does that because up until that point it's like, come to this house, there's survivors and all that sort of stuff, and you meet some of them and all that sort of stuff. So I think it really does, it's you, and that's it.
Yeah, it's building the feeling of you're not alone. No, actually, you are a completely.
Yeah, exactly.
It takes a bit of 7 there as well with getting into the car and trying to ram the car out of the the garage and stuff like that. You do a similar thing in 7. I really have to say that I really was enjoying those villagers straight away. I was like, oh, this is cool, and I felt like there was, if I'm brutally honest, some of the best voice acting came from those villagers. Because I have a thing to say about the voice acting, but we get there.
We'll get there. So you go around the village, you explore. It's very typical Resi puzzle. You get 2 bits, two things you need to put in the thing. You go in there, and of course, you know, unless you've been somehow living under a rock, you know that the castle, where the castle, and you start walking up there, and then you get that cutscene, which is, again, they've shown where Heisenberg shows up, flings his metal stuff around, and takes you to the council, where you're introduced to the 4. What you want to call them, lords? Yeah, 4 lords who are serving Lady Miranda, and they kind of argue a little bit over who's going to kill you, essentially. And for some reason, they agree on the best solution being to let Heisenberg let you go and run away from the werewolves that are set on you. And essentially, after all that, you end up right back where you were at the start of the castle. And then you go in the castle, where you're straight away kidnapped, I believe, if I remember correctly, by these daughters of Lady Dimitrescu.
Yeah, they pin you up.
They pin you up with hooks through your hands. Literally through your hands.
I just...
Do we need to... Is this the... Sorry.
I just want to just quickly say, like, throughout both Resis, I've been like, how the fuck is he taking so much damage to his hands, his body?
Can we come on to this now, though? So, because I think we're going to get to very shortly the bit that both Adams messaged me separately about, and I think we need to talk about it if we're talking about...
Can we call it what it is? This is the moment that Resident Evil jumps the shark.
Yeah.
Like, there are moments in Resident Evil that are, of course, ridiculous. There are, of course. Like, and you know, Chris White said it, like, you've got to, at some point, there are parts where you have to go, it's Resi, though. And he's absolutely right. For me, and only for myself I can speak here, in the castle, there is a moment the series jumps the shark. And Adam texted me because I didn't know what had happened, but he basically said they have to explain this. And then when I got to it, I'm like, they can't.
You text me and just went, holy fuck.
Yeah, I literally just totally fuck. But what I realised right there, that is them jumping the shark, because for me, and I did, and if you, Adam, I think it was you I was speaking to, I did guess it, kind of, the reason that could happen. It's still, it's beyond ridiculous, and it's asking even a hardened Resi fan to go, yeah, okay. Even a hardened Resi fan can't look at that and go, no, explain this. That you can't. There's no explanation they could have given for the moment we're all alluding to that would have been acceptable.
We need to say what it is, though. We can say what it is.
Well, we are jumping ahead if we jump to that bit.
Okay, let's stick to it, though.
Because it's pretty bad. They put the hooks through his hand, and then to get out of that, he just pulls the hooks through his hand.
I mean, I don't know when we're going to get to it.
Yeah, he's already had 2 fingers gone.
Yeah,
he's already like that, and then he's got hooks through his hands, essentially being crucified-ish. And to get out of it, he shakes a bit. He's like, "Well, I know how to get this." Wallop, and the hooks then go.
So,
and
I actually think I disagree quite a lot with you on this. So I don't know when we want to talk about it. Do we want to wait a bit?
I mean, let's get into it. I mean, so basically, once you escape that room, Lady Dimitrescu becomes Mr. X, but a kind of watered down Mr. X.
Very watered down.
I don't know if I got unlucky. She only ever appeared when there was only one. Well, so I would, you know when you come down the lift section. When I got there, she was right outside. I was like, but I just need to go right there now because I've got all the stuff.
Yeah,
so I had to go all the way around the long way, and I don't know if that's scripted or I just got bad luck. But it was actually quite annoying.
That happened to me, and so I ran back to the lift and then waited for her to go, and then she went.
She wouldn't go
just go the short way.
Yeah, I couldn't. I had to go the long way.
Oh yeah, she went for me, which was good. But I encountered her a couple of other times, just wandering about.
Yeah,
and she saw me because I wasn't discreet, and then she came after me. So it happened more than once.
But she does literally have Mr. X's AI. She walks straight up to a save room and then just goes, nope, and then turns around and walks back the other way.
I waited. I ran into save rooms. I didn't actually see her come to the save room because I wanted to see what she would do. Like Mr. X just turns. I know she can't come in because I was like, well, come on then.
You can't come in a save room.
You want to attack Fat Boy who's in here with me, but but yeah. So I assume that's because she then wandered off. But yeah, she definitely. I think that's a scripted part, the bit you're referring to. That time definitely happens, but other times, it's only if you're.
X.
Yeah.
So, well, we've kind of jumped ahead of the daughters. Look,
Yes.
I'll say it. I'll fuck it. In for a penny, in for a pound. I think this section's the worst bit of the game.
The castle.
Yep, by far. I think
That's
early
spicy.
on in I think early on in the game, I think you do not understand what it wants of you. So the daughters, you kind of have to go through the daughters to get to her, right, Lady Dimitrescu, and the daughters appear. Fucking hard. We could do a full pod on this part of the game. Like, so one, this is the bit I was right about. I think the whole of Lady Dimitrescu, I reckon there's 2 hours of her in this game, and I think that might be being generous. And I mean the whole of everything she's involved in. I think that's 2 hours top she's in this game. Which is fine, because they couldn't really make a whole...
Is it fine? Is it fine? Because I'm going to say straight off the bat, to where it ends up, and with the level of hype and advertising of this character, I'm calling bullshit.
So
I
I
think
will
it's
add to that. I will add to that. Go on, Chris, go on.
I was going to say, what we don't know is what the intention was before the internet just
Before
spaffed
the
its
internet
load on the
took it.
first point.
So
like
This is kind of your reward, by the way, for being that kind of internet meme. Oh, it's so funny. This is your reward. Excuse me, expected a game full of this, and I'll just belch on mic there. You expected a full game of this, which wouldn't work, by the way. It wouldn't be any fun.
I'm not saying I wanted a full game. I just think overall, and I'm just going to say it right now, I think our character is weak. I think it's
very flawed. I feel like it's
she's
rushed.
comes and gone.
I think there's so much more that they could have done with it.
I'm going to say now there'll be DLC featuring her.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Maybe multiple parts. Maybe it would be about how her daughters came to be more.
Do you know the moment that we saw? I don't know. I think it was definitely shown anyway, gameplay-wise. But like eating scales alongside the building, and then
she's on the phone.
She's on the phone. That moment is. We needed more of those with her.
Yeah,
like I wanted more of that.
Because obviously they'd revealed that. So obviously that phone call.
She knows she's there, right? By the way, like she looks in the mirror, like she knows she's.
I think she does because she looks literally through the mirror right at you. So I was like, she's either stupid, So I think she does, but because then she's obviously when you get in, she's right there and
waiting
captured.
for you.
But like that point was revealed before. And the phone call kind of implies that Ethan's dealt with Heisenberg because it's the traps, but implies that i.e. that she's like maybe the second
boss,
big, but she's speaking to Miranda, who's clearly higher up. So you kind of go, okay, she's not the main villain, but she's not the start of the game. She's something to be feared because she's bigger than Heisenberg.
But she is. And she is the start of the game.
Yeah, but she isn't. She started again, and like I said, very underused. And I wasn't scared of her at any point.
Not at all.
And it just feels a shame because I'm probably more scared in the moments of her daughters when I've got to fight them
more
than I am of her.
So the daughters, that's what I wanted to get to. We like. So the first time you encounter a daughter, essentially you have to break a window, and it's sort of. I wasn't sure at first. Is it the cold or the wind or they're vampires? Is it sunlight? I wasn't entirely sure, and then I also wasn't sure how to damage her, so I was like, well, all I can do is keep shooting her. So I kept shooting her, and I figured there was some way of like, well, there's the window's clearly broken for a reason. Which, by the way, the one thing it did do is every time I could break a window, I broke a window. So I was breaking windows all over that bloody castle. They only double glazing in. But you go through the three daughters, and I don't really feel that particular. I think it. Rushed is the word I'd use for that section. Like the whole of it, all those boss fights or mini boss fights or whatever you want to call them, feel rushed. Like the maiden stuff with all the kind of whatever they are in the basement stuff. It feels like why do they're failed experiments. Like the kind of that's Resi. They're failed experiments. I just feel like the daughters they're really weird fights. They are boss fights, but they're really weird.
Very
fights,
weird because
not very well explained, and you're not sure if you're supposed to stand or run.
It does the Resi thing, right? Where I mean, there is a bit around run or fight, which I take. It does the Resi thing though, that it always does, and we'll get onto this later as well because it does it a lot towards the end, where it just assumes that you do find all of the little notes to understand some of the narrative, because it explains it clearly in those notes that they don't like the cold, and someone opened a window and they told them to shut it because they're of the cold. Like, so it does tell you in that way to about what you need to do. And so when I got to that first one and the window got shut open as part of a cutscene, you're like, right, okay, well, I know now what I've got to do, and I know that you can be damaged.
See, I didn't. Before. I wasn't sure if that meant that was how I could stop them chasing me, because I'd had encounters with them before where I couldn't stop them chasing me. They just kept doing that turn into insect sting and coming back.
Yeah.
So I wasn't sure, is this how I kill her, or is this just a way of getting rid of her for a bit? And then I did kill her. I was like, okay, so that's that. And that mechanic is once you understand it.
Yeah, but I think that like the idea that's set in place for you for how you're supposed to defeat them, like I think it's the second daughter maybe. You go into a room and it's a very small room.
It's a library with
and you can kind of go to a small thing, small little area, and I mean there's two big windows. Like you can't. Well, I couldn't. I was shooting and I was like, look, the fucking thing is there. You're stuck in it, but you're not dying. And then I'm trapped in this room with you and you're hitting me. And then it just got messy. I didn't feel like I was doing it correctly. And then all of a sudden she died. And I was like, oh okay, cool. All right, I did it then, but I don't feel I did it right. Like what they're saying, like there's maybe the third one uses that whole like light stuff better. Like I think you have to actually press a button and stuff, and it like opens up the kind of area to damage her and stuff. But it was definitely messy, and they were kind of happening so randomly. Like I didn't feel like I was leading up to a boss fight here. It was just I was like, okay, we're doing this now. All right. Weird.
That's because you have like 3 fights within an hour, right? That's why it feel and not all that hour is you're not introduced to them at the start. So I think it did feel rushed. I think when I think about, because obviously you're supposed to get vibes of like, I don't know, the original Resi mansion when you go into that castle. It's the only yeah. And we'll talk about the vibes you get from the different areas when we get to them, right? But this one is clearly supposed to be original Resi mansion, sort of puzzles, labyrinthine corridors all leading back on each other and all that sort of stuff. That's supposed to be like the
enjoy
area.
Those labyrinth things.
That's supposed to be what this is about. And then you think, right, we'll come on to the labyrinth thing in a minute. That pissed me off. But anyway, personally pissed me off, not the actual thing. But we'll come on to that. What I meant, like the rooms and all the things kind of as like a maze, right? Yeah. So what you had in like the original Resi and Resi 2 and various things is you have like loads of puzzles and items and different keys and stuff going on, and it takes ages Resi. But in other games it takes ages to navigate because there's puzzles on the way, and you find something and you might not use it for another hour, and you find a problem that you might not solve for another hour. Whereas this castle section, there's a couple of those moments, but the puzzle you can solve right in front. There's one puzzle that you have to go and collect stuff and bring back. Yeah, which is a bit like the 4 masks from the original, right? But there's no middle puzzles where you're like, okay, I can see a crest hole. I need to go and find a crest or something. There's none of that, and there's no multiple keys. It doesn't have to be the same, but the whole notion of finding a problem, then you solve it like in an hour later or half an hour later. There's none of that. You just sort of progress around a route that's kind of there. There's puzzles in the moment, like the blood thing that drains out and things like that there's those in the moment that you solve, but you solve them in the moment. There's not really much backtracking to solve a lot of puzzles.
There's a little bit in the garden area, but not much.
There is a little bit, but like my point is, because there's no backtracking, and I'm not a fan of pointless backtracking, but there's basically one route through that castle, and even when you come back to drop the, you come back to the central area, I've got another of those faces. It unlocks another one to go and get another one. So it's just one big kind of pretzel loop, if you like, and then you're where you need to be to finish it. And I think that's probably why it feels rushed, because you're like, I've done these before, which is the first section of a Resi game, and they felt more meaty than this.
But there is also the thing to consider that this is the 4th modern Resident Evil game. So 7, 2 remake, 3 remake, Village. The 4th Resident Evil modern game where they have had you basically being stalked by something. You know, like
I mean, to be honest, for me, the stalking thing was very minor.
It's by far the mildest. I found the daughter's more annoying than Lady D.
Yeah, by far. She did
not annoying.
She didn't bother me. Yeah, I wasn't ever afraid of her. I never felt like she was going to cause me harm at all, and so it didn't really bother me. Whereas Mr. X, like, you know, given the way that he roams around and the way but also the frequency and the way it's embedded into the story and stuff. You know, when he lifts up the helicopter and stuff like that in Resi 2 and stuff. There's moments in that feel more dramatic, whereas this, sadly, this part did feel like a little bit like a watered down version of those.
Like I said, I think
areas.
This is the worst part of the game. And that, by the way, I like the game. I'm not to jump to the end. I
I do.
Village, but I think this is. It might be the marketing's fault, the most disappointing part of the game, because there's no. I mean, we still haven't talked about it, but there is no way around the fact that. I mean, listen, we're on a spoiler cast. You guys have finished it again. By Christ, 40 minutes in, if you're still listening and haven't finished this game, go and finish the game. You kill her. She's gone. She's gone. Like you literally have her crystallized form in your inventory to sell. She's gone. It
is the only moment, I think, in that game where I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't really happen any other point in that game.
No, because you then expect that.
Because
you then expect that. That is the way that is the end of the tutorial, really.
Yeah, I will admit that when I finished that, I was like, well, no, she can't be.
Yep.
That can't be it.
She will be back as DLC, I would bet that.
Yeah, but in terms of this game, that can't.
She's gone. No, she's gone.
And it is. Yeah.
We have still not yet.
Can I say my point of view on that? The point that you're going to bring back to.
You introduce the point, and then we'll all.
So
this could be Adam v. Chris's. Adams v. Chris's here, I reckon.
It's fine. It's fine. I know your guys' point of view, and I know we'll disagree on it. But so the point we're talking about is in the dungeon, I think, of the castle, when there's a moment where Lady Dimitrescu is chasing you, and you try and unlock a locked door with a handle, and your hand's on it, and she's got a bladed hand like Wolverine or Edward Scissorhands something, or Freddy Krueger, and just slices your hand off. Right off. So your hand's still on the handle that you're trying to use to open the door, and your arm's not.
And then she's still chasing you.
And you're running about with one hand.
It's hilarious as well.
And that's not the end of the moment. That's not the end of the moment. Obviously the end of the moment is like you do the little thing where you're like, okay, well, there's, you're going to go left, so I'm going to go right, so that I can run back to go and get the handle.
So I died here.
Oh, did you?
Because in my mind, there's no fucking way you're going to make me.
Oh, you thought it was like a gameplay loop that you die,
and then return to my severed hand to escape this room. There was no part of that that would be impossible.
Whereas I'll come on to why I was less shocked.
I literally got cornered because I'm like, but there's nowhere else to go, and there's absolutely no way you'd want me to go and take my own severed hand off. So, and then she just, she kills you because it's one of those, and I'm like, well, then fuck me, it wants me to go back to my hand. That's the only other place to go.
So you go to your hand. You rub some.
No, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. You pull the lever down. And you're still holding your hand. You run away from her. Then you reattach it, like Crichton putting his hand back on in Red Dwarf. And then you kick your magic.
Sorry. I've skipped a few steps. Yeah, you take your hand back. Yeah, like Crichton. Sorry, you made me laugh there.
It is though. It's like Crichton when he puts his hand on in Red Dwarf.
And I also, and then when you do it, and obviously it attaches. I also like the fact I'm pretty certain there are stitches in your shirt, which I thought was a nice touch. But let's talk about it, okay? Let's talk about that batshit crazy moment, because it's 100%. Obviously, it's 100% intended, right? And we've already mentioned a lot of the reason why I wasn't surprised. I knew something was coming because you two both messaged me when there is something that comes comes later.
I knew this was coming, and I still, when it happened, messaged Adam just going, "Holy fuck!" Like, I knew this because for reasons but sorry.
I know you. Yeah, but like I knew something like that was coming before it happened because of what had gone before. So you've already mentioned pretty much all of them, right? The guy's had his hand bitten off whaps a bit of bandage round, and everything's okay, right? Because, and now there's part of that you go, okay, Ethan, Resident Evil, expel my disbelief a little bit. Just crack on. There's levels. So that first one, I was like, that's a bit odd that he's just gone bandage and we're now okay to still hold and fire guns and push doors open and stuff. But okay, I can get past that. But that's one in the bank there that I'm thinking this is a bit weird.
What? That's a strange way of saying...
Sorry, not that kind of bank. But like,
right, okay.
Yeah, well, it's Lady Dimitrescu, isn't it? Yeah. So then the second two, the next two come like almost at the same time. So when they're hooking him, first time they whack hooks in his legs.
Yep. And drag
him by them. And then the next one, obviously, like you say, they hang him up by his hands, and then to escape, he just pulls him down, which as a move is quite grim anyway.
Oh, it's horrible.
But actually, like later on, well before choppy time, you see his hands either in cutscenes or whatever, and there's no marks on his hands anymore. So straight afterwards, you see the marks on his hands, showing you, and then later on, before that, you see his hands, and there's no marks on them at all. Like he hasn't been pulled out.
I thought later on there was. I thought there were scars. Later
no,
on.
so there were scars later on, but then after that, there was nothing. And then that was before he got sliced off. So I was like, something's going on here. Either this game has ridiculous it's either not considered stuff in the sense that it's, that's like a continuance error, or whatever it is, continuity error, or it's because the hands are right in front of you. Like you can't miss his hands. So I was like,
the gun in that right hand.
Yeah, it's trying to tell you about this. It's trying to show you this. And then when it happens, now obviously, and we'll talk about it at the very end, like whether the explanation deserves the cry thing. But it was always coming. It was showing you throughout this castle that he's like some sort of Deadpool type character that can just heal himself for reasons that are unexplained until near the end. But it was always coming, and so when that happened, I was not surprised. I knew they were going to up the ante. They'd already shown you some things to try and tell you that this was the case. You guys had told me something shocking was coming. I was like,
let me be clear. I would never be surprised by anything Resident Evil threw at me.
Yeah, but
that's not. Yeah, go on. Sorry,
can I just say there that like I think there is like we can keep saying that like, oh look, it's Resi, it's a video game, blah blah blah. This moment is just very very like what, like it's now you're saying there that we are agreeing that like it is kind of insinuating that there is something up with Ethan, blah 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 blah. Ethan does not know that.
No.
So for me, why does he just go? Why isn't there like my fucking hand? Why isn't he doing it? He's hang on. There we go. Business.
Probably because he's already had his hand whopped off in Resident Evil 7. He's a bit used to it now.
There is this thing like, but why?
I didn't know that. Okay,
I don't remember that either.
He has it. His hand, and he has it like reattached with like bolts, like
yeah. I just think like even down to that kind of extreme moment to just in the design of it all, could we not have had even like he goes to the Duke or something and like they sort something out with his arm, or he gives him an upgrade for a hand, like something. It might be ridiculous, but that moment of how they actually go about it, just pouring a liquid on it, and then it's like boom, back in it, and then 2 seconds later shooting again.
I've got to go further back than that. Like the two moments for me aren't. It's how he reattaches. So he's got. I mean, I can't do it.
It just stays on for a second. He pours it.
That's what. Well, no, it's like he's wearing a long sleeved shirt, right? And so there's a stump. This is going to only work in video. There's a stump here, and it's in front of him, and he just puts it back on. He doesn't. It might have even been.
He doesn't put it on the table or anything.
Well, no, but I mean, he doesn't even lift it up. You don't even like. He doesn't lift it towards the camera, and you see the stump, and he's like, "Oh God, I've got to get it right." He just like goes, doo, 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 and that bit's bad, I think. And then they should not have had him pour the magic first aid on, because that takes it from something where you could go, "Oh, okay." Later on, they explain why he can do this, and he puts it on, and it's okay. The fact he puts it on and goes magic dust.
Yeah, it's you can't help but laugh. Like even if he had bandages to put it together or something, I don't know.
Yeah, if
like,
he just bandaged it, maybe.
It is just a moment that I don't know how anyone will play it and not go, what?
Excuse
and
me?
then in the end result,
Excuse
and
me?
then in the end result, be like, oh, at least they explained it, because we'll get to it, but I just don't think it's the best. But like
They
could have
explain
definitely
it.
tackled that.
I don't think they explain it well.
Yeah.
I don't think they do enough.
I want to slightly just like backtrack a second just to say, Adam, like you were talking about the castle being a disappointing part of the game for you. I would disagree. I think like I really enjoyed the castle. I really enjoyed, because at that stage it's so early on, and like you're getting all the characters.
It's how short it is.
Definitely.
That's the disappointing thing. The actual castle was fine, and I like, because there's a lot more, I think, cutscenes in that section. Like there's a lot more story. Like you learn that Lady Dimitrescu and the others are subservient to Miranda. You learn about Lady Dimitrescu. You kind of realise, I think you understand she's not technically a vampire, not really. You learn how she made her daughters. There's loads of story because there's loads of characters. It's not so much what happens there, or it's just that it is like so early on and it's just gone, and that is gone. You are done with that part of the story, and that's what I was disappointed in.
And I confirm you cannot go back into the castle.
You really can't. Okay.
No. Unless someone found a route that I never found. Bloody labyrinth puzzles.
Shall we? Are we done with the castle and Lady D?
Yeah, I think overall it's a very, very weird part of storytelling, and all the marketing that led up to Lady D and to where it ends. I'm a bit like, oh, okay, because I did text you, Adam, and I said, like, are we serious? Is that it?
Yeah.
Is that, like, surely she's going to come back in some way, shape, or form because of, like, the hype that's surrounding this character? And I wonder, do Capcom sit back and go, that's what we intended to do? Or did they sit back and go, shit, we did not know that Lady D was going to be this big. I really hope players are going to be okay about this. But
I think the latter, and I think many years ago, when like the Mass Effect 3 ending got changed, because the developers listened to all the anger and aggression, I feel like this is the future you've wrought. This is what you get now. You know, they never came out and said she is the whole game. There is clues in the trailers to suggest she's one of 4. But the internet took that, got horny over it, and now are probably expecting a game where she's in it, all of it. And I'd argue maybe a fifth of the game is involving her. Fourth, a quarter maybe, but maybe a fifth.
Yeah. So where are we off to after the castle then again?
Well, the Red Chimney House. The Red Chimney House.
That Red Chimney fucking
Everyone's
house.
favourite house.
That goddamn house.
Whoa, hang on. We know that Chris Hyde and Adam Carroll and myself struggled. But we don't know if Chris White struggled to get into the Red Chimney House.
Yeah, you do. You messaged me about it in a message.
Did I?
Yeah, and I said I can't remember struggling with it.
Okay, I don't remember that at all.
I'm not being
so
cocky.
Bad.
I just can't remember.
No, I'm glad.
I may have done, but it didn't stick out as being one of those.
It's definitely not on purpose. It's not designed to be a challenge.
Oh no,
It's just like I just got stumped and I couldn't find out.
But I think that's down to the design of the village as well, because there's like when you look at the map, there are like pathways on there that look like you should be able to walk down, and there's nothing showing that it's being blocked. But then when you get there, you're like, where the fuck is this path?
Yeah.
And if you move like 2 meters to the right, you open your map up and you're like all the way over here.
Yep.
So I think that's partly down to the design of it, and it's not got a clear layout, unlike when you're inside a building and it's very clear where you're going.
No, the village is designed for you to literally come in, move around a bit, go off to that bit, come back, go around a bit, over there, and it is But like, so did you find the note very quickly that says about the hole in the house? Because that's what I found. That was like, oh, thank God, now I know what I need to do. If not,
I found that before, before I was there.
See,
and stuff.
I didn't, and I think that's because I didn't backtrack any for some reason. I don't know. I just didn't find that note for ages. I really struggled to find it. And when I found it, I was like, okay, I'm looking for a hole. At least I knew then this is what you want.
Yeah. So it's like it's here now. We spend a fair chunk of time again. It's where we get the opening of like the Four Lords and stuff like that.
I was going to say we've jumped ahead of the vials. We've sort of glossed over the vials because this is when you first get a vial.
And we've not talked about the whole Umbrella Corporation link, which is like quite a big deal.
When you when you see the okay, I forgot about that. That is, to be honest with you, that's the kind of silliness I kind of like in Resident Evil.
I was messaging Adam about this, like literally as as it was happening, and I was like, okay, like just beating big tits, and we're going down to that altar bit, right? And I was like, you see the logo, don't you, on the ground? Like it's like the umbrella logo. And I messaged Adam saying, sorry, it's in the cave where you meet the creepy old woman.
Yes.
Who's, I guess they never explained it, but I guess he's Miranda.
No, they do. They show her. They show her transform into her.
Yeah. No, I know, but I'm guessing at that moment and when every time you meet her, it is Miranda.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. So
I'm
assuming that's the case.
Because the villagers talk about how, that old hag, she's crazy. I'm assuming that is always Miranda, and that's like just keeping an eye on people. I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Did that thing as well where I tried to shoot the old lady and
did you? I thought about it.
Doesn't allow you to do it. Just point stone.
Because in the cave, there's like an umbrella. I think it's in the cave anyway. Before you get to the main altar, there's like an umbrella logo. But beneath it, I was like, I've spotted an umbrella logo. How perceptive of me. Egg. I was like, I'm really clever. So I messaged Adam going, I've spotted an umbrella logo. This is going to be important for later on, but I'm really clever. And then you literally walk out and it goes on the altar and went, what a strange symbol. Like it literally says something like that. I'm like, cheers, Capcom. Thanks for just whacking me over the head with it, just in case I'd missed it before. Yeah, I've now got it twice. So in case you've not missed it, there's a massive umbrella logo on the floor. So yeah, so they wanted to make sure everyone spotted that. So they could get their lovely reveal towards the end. But yeah, classic Capcom heavy-hitting storytelling, I thought.
Baby's head in a jar and a Capcom umbrella logo.
Yeah.
Classic Resi.
Can't believe we haven't talked about Duke yet.
I know.
I was just about
MVP.
I don't know when we get to him.
Because he's like amazing. He's not just a merchant. He's like, he helps you out quite a bit.
But he's also the most unexplained thing in the entire game.
Yeah.
He even says, I can't explain what I am.
Yeah, the only thing you know about him is that he's he knows the merchant from Resi 4.
Does he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he says, what are you buying?
Yeah.
And then he goes, something my old friend used to say.
Sometimes when you go in the menus, he says,
weird.
what are you buying? And he goes, just something a friend used to say.
I never got that in the whole game. Not once.
Yeah. Got it a few times.
He looks like
really
Pearl the Fat Vampire from Blade. He's a similar thing with the belly sticking out and everything.
So I don't want to jump to the end, but there's two things. I can't. No, it's jumping too far to the end. But they do not explain who he is, how he is where he is, or why he's helping you. And when you ask him, he even says, "I can't really explain what I am."
Yeah,
and you take that for what it is. I'm not bothered. I think he's very weird looking, and
I'm bothered because I'd like to know.
The upgrade thing.
Well, yeah, I'd like to know, but I'm not bothered that I don't.
No, but it's not an upgrade thing. It's not just because in the Resi 4, the merchant is just an upgrade thing. The Duke's a story device. He gives you story. He tells you how to. Whatever he is or represents, he tells you. Look, so you've just been to Lady D. You got all these other lords. If you can fuck them up, you might be able to save your daughters. He knows more than you do. So I don't think of him as just. I mean, maybe it's like when Chris White said, like maybe it's just like it's Resi. Maybe it's again another one of those I need to let go of. Do we want to talk about the jars yet, or come back to that?
Well, we kind of have to, don't we, to get to the next, like the story.
Yeah, basically Ethan gets a jar, right?
Yep, baby head,
baby head in a jar.
And again, he's not like.
Not bothered. He is a bit. He is a bit. Yeah, he is a bit.
Not really, though. I'm told
I might, but he is.
If that was my kid, I'd be like, "What is going on?"
So okay. You've kind of
come on.
Look, you've hit upon something there, right? Is it his kid?
No.
It fucking says it.
It's like the essence.
That's what I'm getting at because
no. So I thought it is because isn't it? Because
I don't know. This is what I'm getting at.
In the house with the red chimney, you find a note.
House.
I know, the fucking house. You find a note that's talking about the guy that lives there, and he used to do stuff for Miranda. And it doesn't explicitly say, but it implies heavily that the baby's been carved up.
Right. So
because it basically says, "I can't believe Miranda's done that to a baby." Like, and then it says that, don't worry, Miranda was saying, don't worry, this baby will be fine. It will come back no matter what I do to it. So it does imply that is...
So the 4 jars, the head, I can't remember what the other ones were, body, legs, arms?
Legs.
Why not?
I don't think it matters. What? Why? Do they need to be put into 4 vials, then put into an?
Oh, I don't know that bit.
Well, like it's just it's something for you to do.
My understanding.
Resident Evil.
I mean, I assume it's the only I say logical. The only logical way you can say is that she's trying to, I guess, protect Rose until the ceremony. So she was
going to chop it up, put it back together like Lego, and pour the first aid spray. And
yeah.
Of course, no, it makes sense.
And she was then expecting. Well, I don't know, spoil the last bit. Sorry,
we'll get to that.
Wasn't she separating the baby to give to the lords?
Yeah, but why?
Yes,
so that they could then come back together for the ceremony.
I assume the only thing, right?
No, they say that there is a thing that they say.
Yeah, so I assume it's so they can eat. They come together for the ceremony, and so I guess she's being kept safe by the 4 lords until the ceremony, separately.
Wouldn't they be safer with her?
Probably. Okay. But then it would be a very short game, wouldn't it?
Yes.
It's Resi. Right, so look, you get the jar, and then the Duke basically introduces himself properly, and he tells you, look, get the other jars. You can still save your daughter. Apparently, she's in bits, but you can save her.
Head off there and get the rest of your baby's body parts there, and come back to you.
Go to the one gate that you can now unlock because you got the key, which is that lord over there, who's the fish boy.
No,
it's not.
It's the doll first.
It's Benevento or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, this part was banging.
Yeah, it was fucking top notch.
It was fucking banging. It was
PT has finally come out.
PT has come in. Look, I'm going to say straight off here that I think, for me personally, Village does lack quite a few moments for me. But this was probably my favorite moment of the whole game. Right. I think this is really. It also brought back fear for the game.
Oh yeah,
because I was starting to not be scared of this game as I was playing it. I was like, when it's same thing happened with 7, but 7 held up it's for a lot longer. The fear. Village started off, I'm scared. I don't know what each door is going to bring, and then all of a sudden I just didn't feel scared at all. This then did, and yes, it does take a PT vibe, and I don't care if it does because that's just scary, and that's like a part of a game that I'm going to be terrified playing. This was a cool moment, I thought.
Again, very short.
Are you talking about the boss fight?
Yes.
Or the giant mutated fucking?
You're talking about the bed
baby.
The bed
bit.
Scared me
the bed
more.
bit's the best moment of that.
Horrific. That was just disturbing.
I didn't like that.
Crying at you.
It reminded me of. Do you remember Catherine when the baby?
was
chasing after you, going daddy like that. Yeah, it kind of reminded me.
See, there's this baby moment was especially just the lighting again. The lighting really highlighted it because when you're walking towards the thing and next you just see this thing coming at you, I was like, "What's happening here?" I'm gonzo in panic, running through doors, all that usual shit. But it was very similar to the moment in 7 with Maya, where you're creeping down the stairs and then she crawls up the stairs. That kind of thing is always scary, and it just shows the lighting in the game is amazing.
I would also add, even though I saw the boss battle, I quickly worked out, well, the last time I stabbed these dolls, it's going to be the controlling woman that's doing it. I quite enjoyed that because although it was scary and the horror of the game is really, really there in that whole mansion level, I didn't feel in danger because it took your weapons away. So it kind of told you right away, you can't fight back. You got no guns, you got no knives, so you can't die. Well, you probably can, but you're not. This isn't a combat section.
No, as soon as I've lost all my stuff. It's like, okay, here we go, puzzle section, puzzles, because there's nothing else I can do other than use my brain now, which is fine because I was literally I haven't done many puzzles yet, so I was actually quite
I do
what
wonder,
you're throwing at me.
If they had let you keep your weapons and wander around with them, would it have put you even more on edge because you're not sure if there's going to be any combat? There's no combat.
I agree with you. There was part of me that was like, I've got to be safe here because I can't fight back.
There's nothing for me to fight back with.
I actually, as soon as when do you get your weapons back?
You just get them.
Yeah, you just leave the house.
Yeah, you just get out. You have them.
Yeah. So
does that a few times, by the way. Does that a few times actually. But yeah, you just leave that building and you
leave the house. Yeah, because I agree. I was just I don't feel. And I think the other thing for me is, and this is my fault, not my fault, but like I found the bed that I could crawl under and crawled under it
I needed
before
to.
I found that thing. So and I was like, okay, so I knew what I'd already. Okay, join the dots. I know what's going to happen now.
Something's going to
because you had already seen the baby.
Yes, you had.
once.
Yeah.
So I was like, I know what's coming now.
Yeah.
Didn't mean I liked it because it's still
no, it was still scary
and creepy. And when it comes in the room and stuff, and there's moments where you think it's going to look under the bed, but like I knew what I was going to do. I knew it was going to come around. I knew I've got to go out the front and then run away from it because it had done it a couple of times where you've got alternate routes to go round places. It does that quite a bit, I think.
Yes.
It kind of goes, going to throw something at you, so you've got to go around the long way. But I still really enjoyed it, but I wasn't really scared.
I was scared, but knew I was safe.
Yeah, I kind of. It was one of those things where it was one of those things as well.
Just a gameplay thing. They took your weapons away. You can't fight back. And I realised straight away when I've got a clear of entry, it was still done well. Like all the lights just suddenly dark, and then all there's blood there, and it was still done incredibly. And the doll, let's be honest, dolls like that are always going to be creepy.
Yeah,
and it would get me now and again when one would drop down suddenly, and fuck up.
Yeah,
you know.
And there would be a couple of times where I'd be like, I know when I walk down this corridor, you're going to do a jump scare, and you did, like a picture would fall or something. But there were other times where I just didn't see it coming.
Yeah.
That going down that well was creepy as fuck. Like you've seen it on a projector.
I really did not like that.
And then you go on that so. And again, it's the lighting and
I couldn't stop thinking of the ring. I could not stop thinking of the ring for that bit. It's like this is
so that it's a very well done section in being creepy and like unnerving a little bit. But I wasn't ever like.
I would say that bit is the one bit where it's like I'm not. So like if I was walking down that way, this again. Sorry, this works better for video. But if I'm walking like that with my first person camera like that, I never was like, what's that? No. Just that way. If you just walk that way, nothing can jump out at you from the side or suddenly because you're just walking straight. So like when I went down the well, it's like, right, there's the thing. So if I was in real life, it was kind of like me going, put that up.
Yeah. I'll be honest, I didn't want to turn round.
That's what I mean.
I got down the steps of the well. Yes. I didn't want to.
I think that's success.
That's that is.
With the baby thing though, like I think it does a good job of putting fear in you, especially without your weapons, because you can die obviously from it.
I think you can.
You cannot, because I did, but because I ran straight towards it in pure panic. I just didn't know what.
Just like,
Daddy, yes, I'm here, son.
But it's just
daughter, sorry.
I think it was more of so unexpected, such a disturbing design of an enemy that like knowing what you were doing was kind of like, I don't want to see this, and you can hear it crying, but you don't know where exactly it is, and then you had to get like. Terrific. You had to get like I think like a fuse or a battery or something to put in the thing, and there was about 2 or 3 times.
Well.
Yeah, there was like 2 or 3 moments in the game as well where you're waiting for a door to open, but something's coming behind you.
Yep.
Like, come on.
I'm not turning around. I didn't turn around. I do like the idea though that in a panic, like you're not the man to be around. Like, look, he's got a gun, and there's Adam. Like, quick, get him! Wait, what?
Run towards
the knife.
It just came around the corner so quickly that I just didn't turn. I was like,
come on! Gunpoint. I've got a knife. Oh.
Yeah. No, can I just say that moment? I might be getting confused here with 2 moments. Is that entire moment also with the autopsy kind of thing?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So that I don't know if
puzzle.
I don't know if we really talked about that puzzle. That puzzle was great.
Do you know like that whole level
I really enjoyed it.
Reminds me of it's like a combo of PT and the first Evil Within for me. Like, do you remember there's that level in the Evil Within where you have to hide in the closet, and if he sees you, it's over. I look, whether or not whatever horror means to you as your person listening to this. I think this level with the doll, like you said, the autopsy on the doll, the picture of Maya, like I think the psychological aspect of the horror in that section is a rip-roaring success. Mm-hmm. Like if you didn't feel at all afraid of Lady Dimitrescu, I feel like this level, loath to call it a level, but it is kind of, it is a level section.
I think it's the scariest moment in the game.
Absolutely, 100%. Like it's an enormous success, and it shows. And I will say, I don't like playing games like that are that's all they are.
Yeah.
Like, like what was the game, Chris White, you reviewed it,
Outlast 2.
Was that the one where it was in like a village as well, and there was some weird thing going on with kids?
Camera and stuff.
It was terrifying throughout.
I couldn't play it. I couldn't play it. No,
Still not over it.
Because
I'm not.
all
It was
that game
horrendous.
is, but all that game is that section of Resi. It's just that.
Yeah.
You don't fight in those games, you know. So I appreciate there being a game that incorporates this element of a horror title, but it's not only that, because I can't stomach. Like, it was just the right length for me. It was just the right length.
Yeah.
I got in and got out, you know.
I will say, it feels like the right time to say it. The vibe I got from all of the different areas, I think it's pretty obvious, but like they're all doing something different, and they're all doing different bits of what Resi sometimes does, but on their own. So you have the I guess the mansion equivalent of the castle bit. You have the scary section of the house, and you have the more sort of like the bit we'll go on to in a minute, which is more. Yeah. It's the more modern physical. I'm going to push these things. I've got like switches and stuff, and I'm moving around more. That's kind of like you say, more later on, sort of like maybe 4, 5, 6 type things. And I just thought it's interesting that it has got all those elements in it, but it is also interesting that it's decided to keep them separate. And whether you like that or not is up to personal taste. But I'm happy that they're all there because I like all those different things, like those different gameplay elements. Whether they should be merged and integrated better, I guess that's up to personal taste. But I thought it was interesting that they went, this is the scary bit, this is the
you're kind of
bit,
jumping to the point where what you're saying there is almost how my personal wrap up would be for the game, because I feel like this, but because I feel like this kind of, the more I reflect upon it, I mean, you know, we all played this game lovely and early, plenty of time to really think about it. It feels like a greatest hits of Resident Evil.
Yep.
Good and the bad, and when I say greatest hits, I mean they're the band putting out the album that they still maintain that song when they went in that new direction was really good, even though nobody liked it. But to them, that's a greatest hit. That's what I mean. So we must push on, because otherwise this will be like the longest spoiler. This can't be longer than The Last of Us. No, but I think it might be. You push on to the third area, which is the fish man. This is where I turned subtitles on, by the way, because you know there's a cutscene.
Oh yeah, I have them on anyway, but yeah.
See, I didn't because I it sort of sometimes pulls me out of the immersion, and with a game looking as good as this, I just didn't want any of that. I just wanted, I can hear, or I've got headphones on. I didn't have headphones on for this section. Now I'll be completely honest here. This is the most confused I got, because so when you go into this area, you get the vial right away, and then it becomes a case of he's trying to kind of not misdirect you, but he's chasing you the whole level. Then there's a scene where this weird fish monster comes out on land and starts talking to you. Okay? Didn't realise it was the same person. Didn't realise that fish monster was the Lord. Thought it was some other poor experiment sap, because I couldn't understand what he said. So that's when I had to turn subtitles on, because like I don't know if he's trying to help me or not. I literally couldn't understand a word he said, and it wasn't until it became a boss battle I was like, oh, well, this must be the Lord. I didn't realise the Lord was the fish monster.
The Duke kind of implies that they're two separate things when he does the intro to this area. When he does the intro to 4, that he says there's Moreau, I think that's how you pronounce his name, but there's other things you want to be worried about. So you kind of go, okay, there's a chock-off fish monster. You know, I just got Resident Evil 4 vibes. There's a chock-off fish monster anyway. Yeah. So I when I went into that area, I was like, I've got to watch out for this geezer. And I know there's a chock-off fish monster because it's already kind of been teased. So I was a bit the same as you going into it, going, there are 2 things I need to worry about. And he's weak and useless. Even that is set up from the start when you take
he's out of the water, I guess.
Yeah, but it's not like explicit, and then you see the fish and you're like, well, fish monster, you want to call it, the swimming thing, and you assume it's something different, but then like you say, when it comes to the boss battle, you
also get his crystal thing at the end, all the bosses, so you know it's him, it tells you it's him. I really honestly thought I'd be the only one who made that mistake, got confused there. I like this section. I liked all of this section.
It was okay. Like I don't know. Like I didn't hate it, but I don't really think it'll have a lasting impression on me.
When you're coming straight from what, because you got the werewolves that are like proper big werewolves. I forget what they call them. They are like dogs.
They're vicious.
Oh yeah.
But that's also where you find the Magnum. isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah. Well, no, that's after this,
What?
isn't it?
I got it.
No, it's before
I
it. No,
thought.
it's before. You can get it before it. Sorry, you're right. It's before this because
No, you get the grenade
key.
launcher. Oh, I can't remember now.
No,
you
you
get
get one of
both?
them in that house that you can
Yes,
get before.
Can
Yeah.
get, yeah.
I'll be honest. Like when you said earlier about like you think this is the weakest area, the area that
That's
came
how
into
you-
my mind was
okay.
was this as actually
Oh,
my
okay.
not because I hated it, but because it was quite. It's quite basic. It's like push stuff, hit switches.
It's very traditional Resident Evil.
Yeah, and
Did
so
you kill
it was.
Did you kill the thing, by
fine.
the way? Did you all kill the wolf thing? Because
At the time.
Because this is the point I had lost my fear. Because after the previous thing, I realised that's the scariest bit of this game. They're not going to be able to top this. I'm back outside for a start. So it looks like you could stealth through that, but I didn't. I killed it.
Yeah, and then everyone I met before after that killed them as well.
Yeah, because you need more of them. Yeah.
Because I can literally just stand in a doorway and shotgun you to the face.
Never thought of that. I threw
They
grenade
don't
launchers
get in,
up its
yeah,
arse.
yeah, they can't come in houses, so you can just sort of stand inside and just keep pelting them. They'll run away, and then you go, "Hi, I'm still here," and they run back, and then you just do a few more shotguns, and they die. But
yeah, there's that.
Okay.
There is that, and you progress through it,
yeah.
and then you get to Fish Monster Land, and there's a boat, and
Fish Monster Land. I wish it was called that.
yeah,
Like I think, like even down in that area, like I think Chris, you said there was kind of basic, and I think that's it is what it is. Like I thought the moments of like you cross over the broken bridge, but don't do it at the time that the big fucking fish thing is jumping over because he'll get you. And I'm just a bit like, come on, we could probably we could have developed a bit more of a fearful strategy here for gameplay wise. I just thought like, oh, he's gone, move. Oh, we're coming to another one. Wait for him, gone, move. And I just thought like I was a bit like, oh, like it's so creative beforehand.
But Adam, move slowly.
Yeah, I know. But you end up having that creative puzzle with the autopsy thing and everything, all that, and I'm just a bit like, what's happening? Why are we doing this kind of thing now? Like it definitely was fine. Even steering the boat was crap.
Yeah, I think,
Yeah,
and I think
weird.
that's
weird.
That's where for me, when I think about, like I said, about that separate thing, the separation of like this area is focused just on this area is focused, and you get to a situation where you're like, I prefer this element of Resident Evil, like the scary bit in the house, and I go, that's an amazing area, and then I get to this, and I don't mind pushing stuff and pushing switches, and but it's not the bit that I'll remember. It's not the bit that I'll go, that's a moment, and so that's what I mean when I guess
I just
when
enjoyed
I said
it as a mid-game.
Yeah, I didn't hate it. I didn't hate it at all. Like, I'll be really clear. Like, I didn't hate it. But if I'm ranking areas, there's much more atmosphere and things going on in the castle than there is in the boat stuff.
I would argue that this bit is probably the most Resident Evil 4 bit. I mean, apart from the werewolves coming into houses, like the start is a mirror, boss fight.
Purely in terms of Resident Evil action, I agree with you. Resident Evil 4 action, I agree with you, and because that's what this area is about. It's like it's more actiony. Yeah, that's what it is. It's moving stuff around and switches and stuff. But
so I hate to rush through it. Like, I mean, does anyone have anything else to? I mean, is it Moreau? You said he was definitely the weakest of the lords in terms of story and character development.
And the boss fight was piss easy as well.
Yeah, it was. I mean, he is. I think
pissed me off with the acid rain. That pissed me off. But when I realised there was a route you could hide under.
Is it Cadal or Cadu? Cadal? The Cadals? I think he's important to that part of the story, but because.
Well, he's the one doing the experiments.
He's a scientisty guy.
Yeah, he's the scientist guy that was doing them. But I think that is the area where you learn most about the Cadu stuff and the experiments that Miranda's been doing and the children and stuff.
Once you off him,
you could do, he could do better.
Yeah,
I do.
Once you off him, go on. Yeah, sorry, Ad.
I just want to say that, like, I think it's around this point where I start to kind of question the overall tone of the game. I felt like, even though you can say the Resi 4 comparison that creeps in every now and then, this is where Village started to be like, what's going on? Because certain parts are just very rushed through. Some of the boss fights, you say, Chris, there, it is piss easy. It's also quite shite. Like, it is like I just lashed down a load of mines and then you avoid some acid rain and you're like, Okay. Like
second best use of mines in that game is for that section.
I wish I'd used mines.
Mines are great in that section.
I should have used mines. It was one of those. Mines were one of those things where I was like, after the situation, like that boss battle, I was like, that would have been piss easy with mines.
There's a much better use for them later.
And I only used petrol bombs to get to hidden areas.
I used them a lot.
To get to hidden areas. But like most other situations, I just was using guns. But that's a minor, that's personal, just because I forget they're there. Because my shortcuts are always guns, so I just never thought in the moment. But
I did have mines and the pipe bombs at one point as down on the D-pad. But yeah, I mean, you move on from there, you go into the next area, and then it gets a bit weird because at the end of that area, Heisenberg contacts you via the telly to tell you basically, hey, we should team up, but I've got to test you first. And he sends you off to a fortress. Which again, you know, is what it is. But it did for me. It did that thing again of I don't know if I did it right because I just stood my ground and kept killing them all until eventually I was like, well, there must be more to this. Carried on through it and got to a big one and it ended.
Small point before the stronghold that I just thought was a bit, given the conversation we'd had around the chimney house, and then you go back into the village and somehow he's constructed these chock-off signs that say, this way, you fucking idiot. I'm like, if someone could have done that before and said, go in this door, you idiot, and that would have saved me an hour.
Thanks,
but thank you, mate. I know how to get back to the area because I'm not...
The only gate I haven't unlocked yet.
The only gate I haven't unlocked yet with this new swanky key I've just got. I'm not an idiot. This is a gameplay loop you've done twice already. I know what I need to do, but you felt the need to put massive signs.
You say you're not an idiot, but I wonder if Heisenberg found any labyrinth puzzles, mate. I mean, I don't want to...
Fucking things. Yeah. Right. It was interesting. Like, when I found... We'll come back. Won't spend too long on this. When I found that first labyrinth puzzle in the Duke room, right at the start. Dimitrescu, Castle Dimitrescu. It says, this architect made 4 labyrinth puzzles. Do you know what I thought? I was like, okay, there's going to be 4 maze-like areas in the game.
No, I did until I found the ball in the castle, and then I was like,
I found a ball, thought it was a treasure, forgot I'd picked it up, and then obviously sold treasures, and then just didn't think about it. And then you said to me about labyrinth puzzle, and I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, the little shaky things you can put a ball in. And at that point, I was already finished the castle and couldn't get back in, which is why I know you can't go back in the castle. Because I tried many ways to get back into that castle. You can't. But yeah, idiot moment there. So maybe he does need to treat me like an idiot.
But you know what? Those labyrinth puzzles get easier to the point where the third one's not a puzzle. There's not even a way. No. The first one, the ball can fall off, and you have to keep starting it over. I think the third one it is where like you can't fail it.
The third one, I think there's like one slight hole in the floor. But yeah, the second one where those fences are coming down, you have to time it.
Yeah.
I didn't do the first one, remember? But the second one I did, and then the third one I was like, it's almost like pointing out that because you kind of lose the ball, don't you?
Yeah.
And you have to and so it's almost showing off that than anything else. But anyway, yeah.
But we go to a werewolf fight. We go to a werewolf fight. How do we feel about that bit?
Like
the assault on werewolf town or whatever it is.
The stronghold bit.
Yeah.
I was the same as you, in the sense that, and it does this a few times in the game. I don't know where it wants me to stay and fight, and I don't know where it wants me to run away.
Mm-hmm.
So there are times when I might be running away from things that it expects me to finish, and therefore missing out on like loot maybe. And there's other times where in the stronghold, when you get inside, and you go, and then Ethan goes, "We must be in their den." Yeah, thanks. I kind of figured that out, but thanks for doing the Capcom thing. And you're on the ground floor, and I think you're on about the same point that you're talking about. You're on the ground floor, and there's loads of enemies. So you do what you normally do in this game, which is clear the room of enemies. Then the music dies down, you take a breather, loot the place. That's been pretty much the loop we've been on for however many hours. So I started shooting the enemies. And going, okay, yeah, there's quite a few of these. They keep coming, but I'll keep going. I'll keep persevering. And I was like, I'm running low on shotgun ammo here. I'm running low on handgun ammo here. Fuck, I've now got to use the rifle without aiming because they're too close. Oh my god, right, okay, this is getting a bit grim. I'm not using my Magnum or whatever it is because it's
not here.
Not here. I'm saving that for the final boss. So I was like, okay, I'm going to have to run. And then, you run up a bit to the middle level, and I think I just shot a barrel and a few of them died. Carried on going, and then, like to your point, there's like a mini boss, big guy, who I grenade launched in the face a couple of times, and he was dead. And I think that is how you finish that part. I think they keep coming until you kill that big boss.
I think so.
And I was like, I'll be honest, I was a bit pissed off at that point because I was like, You know what I'm like? I think I've said it before. Like, I'm that guy that has to make all the rooms blue.
Yeah.
Have to find everything, and I've wasted far too much time in this game trying to find everything.
You've caned every bit of ammo.
I've collected the ammo. I've sold all my treasure, like, because I've got a lot of the treasure. So I've got loads of money to buy all the things that I can, and then I've just wasted all my ammo on things I didn't need to waste because the game didn't make it clear that this was never ending, which pissed me off a bit. And then there's a boss fight. There's a proper boss fight not long after that, where I could have really done with a lot of ammo. It does stock you up a little bit, but
it does that a lot. It's like, you know, I think my son was in there at one point, and I was like, "Look, son, you can. This is old. I actually think I said this is old-fashioned game design. You know, there's a boss fight coming up. Save point, loads of ammo, health item.
Yeah.
So it's that, and Resi's done this for years. It's that weird thing where you think resources are finite, but actually they're quite well designed, and there's always just enough to get you.
Yeah.
And then it will refill. You know, I don't mind that. I think, you know, it is a video game, but
yeah.
That, I mean, any more thoughts on Werewolf Assault, or it is what it is?
No,
it's a transition
it is what
section.
it is.
It was just it was quite short. It was the shortest one, the shortest part. I think obviously it's a precursor to the factory, but
well, I am fascinated.
It was over very quickly
because you know it's literally a transition scene, isn't it? Really, but you mentioned about how each part is independent. If I'm to go with you on that sort of flight of fancy, what would the Heisenberg factory be?
Do you know, I've been wrestling with this because I was like, this is my main point of this entire spoiler cast, and then someone's going to ask me, what point is the factory then? And
what
I'm
is
like,
it? Because I don't know.
I don't know. I guess it's kind of I guess if I was, it's kind of the bit I wish the castle had been.
Yes,
I think it's that piece with you get some items, you maybe combine a couple of them. You know you need something, but you haven't got it yet. You're going to come back to that place, and you know the factory, despite the fact that it's the most un-Resident Evil-like scenario, really in terms of setting, I suppose, probably felt like the most kind of complete, kind of integrated Resident Evil part. It's almost like the bits all together. You know, it's not as scary anywhere near. You know, there are a couple of shocking moments when
you walk down the corridor and they're all hanging there, and it does that thing of, oh, they're going to jump out at you, and they don't, but then they all come to play eventually. Yeah, and
the first time that Rotorblade guy comes at you, I mean, that's a different kind of scare. Like I ran, like when that, I was like, I'm not.
See, that
fighting
again
off
reminded me of. I mean, I've literally on the shelf behind me got one of them. What was the enemy in the first Evil Within that stalked you?
Oh, Jesus!
I keep wanting to say Pyramid Head, but is it Box Head?
It's dude with the chainsaw, isn't it?
Yeah, he's got like a box. I'm gonna have to turn around and look. So you carry on talking a minute. Because the keeper.
The keeper.
He's just just above the Monster Hunter Rise thing. You ain't gonna be able to see him just up there.
But
yeah,
I really like the factory area.
Same.
I have to say, I do think it's almost. I think the house, the dollhouse, probably takes it in terms of my favorite area just because of how atmospheric it was.
Fair.
But I do think if more of the game overall had been like the factory, I think I'd have been really happy. Yeah, because I do think, like, as an overall section, it kind of had bits of everything. And there were moments, like that moment when you have to go in, I think you have to get an item, but it's behind the dude in the chair that's clearly going to come to life. And you're I know what's going to, it's obvious, it's Capcom. I know what's coming. I still don't want to go past him. Yeah, and I know as soon as I pick this item up, I know what's coming. And yeah, I'm running. But like, I know, and it's like things like that. And it knows that, and it makes it really obvious.
Also, the enemies are a lot harder.
Yeah, they are, like, with the weak spots and
so
stuff.
That's where I used the mines. So whenever one of those things would come at me, mine there, on you come, mate. And then usually one shotgun blast would finish him off. Well, sometimes it would die on his own, but yeah.
I didn't have a great time in the factory.
No,
I just didn't. Yeah, I didn't enjoy it really all that much.
I really enjoyed the factory.
I totally understand what you're saying, but like, it just kind of was. It was just such a tonal shift once again for me that I was like, okay, what's going on here now? What's the story here now? What's the plan? And then it was so super dark that I wasn't like, I just enjoyed the gothic outdoor side of Village so much more when it was giving me that this factory, this dark, grim factory was a bit
I quite like the fact that they went. It was more modern. It was a factory.
Yeah.
It was things. Horror games don't touch modern. They're always like, oh no, well there's nothing works here. It's all powers down.
I will say, like, just to touch on the gothic bit because we kind of missed it earlier when you said about what you expected, and then obviously with the book opening with the gothic thing, and seeing the footage of Castle Dimitrescu in the footage, I agree with you. I kind of felt like this game was going to be much more gothic, and I feel like as soon as you leave the castle, that's it. You don't get any more of that. The vibe, I guess, like you say, when you went going, this is going to be vampires, werewolves, probably other things we haven't seen. Yeah, and it just isn't, and that's cool in terms of because of what it does. I'm happy with the other things that it did, but you are right. They never really tap into that what you think you're going to get from that gothic vibe, and certainly the factory is definitely I'd say the opposite of that. But I think that is a shame. I
think some of the areas of the factory with the enemies, well, yes, they are definitely tougher. There's no denying that, but I just didn't enjoy some of the placement of the enemy situations. I was like, there's two of you covered in armor. I've nowhere to go. I have to go behind you, but I'm just running around, and it was all so tightly cornered that I had to really shoot them down, or it's try and just run past them, and sometimes I got stuck. I know, put down mines and all that jazz, and off you go. But it was just a really, really weird part of the game for me, and I just didn't think the pacing of it was great. But then look, that brings me to my point of Heisenberg, and I don't know what you guys think of it, but I'm just going to say this. I'm going to start. No, I'm not. I'm not going to move on ahead. But I'm just going to say this right now. It's still sticking with Heisenberg because you're getting a lot of him in this time. But I have to say that Village probably has my least favorite characters of a Resi game. I think there's some the idea behind him and the visual aesthetic is quality. But the voice acting of Heisenberg is weird. It's.
Do we know who he is? Because I kept thinking, this isn't Nicolas Cage, is it?
It's not, because you can watch making of stuff in the extras of the game. If you go, you can see them doing all capture and stuff. I don't know. It was just at that stage I was kind of going, fuck. What's the story? This is long. This is a long area to be in, and I don't really enjoy it.
Okay, I really like the factory.
Yeah, the one thing I will say, and then I'll let Chris give his opinion on the factory. But the thing. The bit you touched on there about I've got to get behind them and stuff, I almost feel and this is being really nitpicky, but I do feel with the mobility of Resi, the mobility of your character in Resi versus what this area wanted you to do, both with those enemies and getting behind them quickly, and also the mini boss as well. That's the culmination of that. I do think it kind of highlights, and maybe I'm just used to dodge rolls in games. I'm so used to being able to do that because that propeller guy would have been a piece of piss with a dodge roll. But you can't. You're running first person kind of around to try and escape in a different angle. It did feel a little bit unwieldy, I guess, or a little bit tricky to do. But that's probably I'm probably being really nitpicky, but I do remember thinking at the time I could really use a dodge roll at this point. I'd be the dogs.
I don't expect Ethan Winter to be fucking Nathan Drake, but it's just there's a couple of occasions where the enemies in this factory place specifically they're doing these things where they're revving up and then they just charge towards you with this thrust, and you're there's no real kind of proper strategy I can lay out bar mines, let's say, and you're trying to there's been a couple of occasions where I shot those things in the chest, and they were absolutely taking some amount of bullets, and I was just come on, I got you down, dunzo,
someone's not been upgrading their shotgun.
I upgraded both my pistols and my shotgun maxed out.
I think the factory was fantastic, and I really enjoyed the enemies, to be honest, because I like the fact there was actual strategy to taking them out. You can fire at the head, you can fire at the bodies, whatever, as much as you want, and it will barely do anything. Those kind of spots on their chest, I'd run out of some, I think it was a shotgun bullets, and I was using my pistol to fire at those spots and then take them out. So I feel that they're quite well designed and completely different to anything we'd seen before, because they weren't. Well, they were kind of experiments, but they were very different to just being mutated biological weapons. They were wearing armor and stuff in it.
Iron Man.
And the thing with the whole game as a whole, like we are obviously, this is a spoiler cast, so we're spending a lot of time dissecting every scene. But when you're playing through from start to finish, it gives every area plenty of time to.
Yes.
Like some area the longest, but it all works well together in the overall like pacing. I found, and I think by the time you're at the factory, you've seen all the other bits, and now you've got this new area, and it just kind of works with what it's doing. I don't know. I've enjoyed every area in different ways, and yes, there are some bits that were not great, but I'm not there long enough to kind of be dwelling on it. They kind of move you along quite quickly. I think by the time you're at the factory, other than after you beat, well, you don't beat, you get knocked off that tall floor with Heisenberg, and like Chris is there, and then you're like, after listening to him for a bit and find out why he's there, and then he goes, right, up in and drive that. You're like, all right. So then you drive out.
Did you get the trophy, by the way, on the way up the lift?
I don't know.
Am I the only one that got it?
Yes. I don't know.
So as you go, as you're in the machine, as you're going up the lift, and you're seeing the factory, like as you're going up. As I just had this funny feeling, I didn't know, genuinely, but there's like, they've shown his Iron Man bloke, he's going around on the cables. There's a bit where they're going up, so I'm just like, I'm going to shoot that fucker, and shoot it, and there's a trophy for shooting him in the distance.
Oh no!
And I felt so happy with myself. I was like,
yeah, there's a I didn't know that, but there's like a CP reward at the end for like loads of things, and one of them is shoot one of them down as they're going apart. So I don't know if it's specifically that tank bit, or whether
because that is a trophy attached to it. I'm just literally like, I'm going up in a lift, nothing to do. And also I was like, well, I want to make sure I'm definitely about to have a boss fight against Heisenberg, so I want to make sure I'm reloaded. So let's just make sure I know how to use this. And I saw that in the background. I was like, I'm having that, and I was really, really pleased with myself. Boss fight's pretty good. Like visually, I will say at least. Like there was a moment during that boss fight where he gets overexcited and everything's whirling around, and I was like, yeah, okay, I'm pleased we've got new consoles, because this. I'm not saying it won't look good on PS4 or an Xbox and whatever, but like there was the moment where I was like, this is good. This is good looking.
We have to take a moment though for just a piece on the moment of getting that machine, because like the cutscene happens. Chris is there. He's got his little laptop again set up. All is good, and he rocks up, and you can see that thing behind him, and you're like, well, fuck, I'm definitely getting a nat yoke anyway. That's a definite. Here we go. It's going to be fun. No denying that, But like, Chris just like goes blah blah blah, blah, says thing, and he just walks away, right? And then and I turned, and I was like, he fucking full blown vanished through a wall. There's nowhere he went.
I don't know where he went. I must admit.
He was gonzo, and I was like, all right, nice one, Chris. And I jumped into the machine, did the thing, and he had this fight, and it was mental, and it was mental because it was just like, this is fun. I'm having a great time. It looks great. What's going on? Like why what is Resi going for the future of its franchise? Does it want to be crazy action packed? Because does it want to be slow survival horror again? There's a lot that's
it's doing remember Resident Evil 6 was very action packed.
6 was so action packed.
Revelation.
Crazy.
I think they're just utilising what they've done and just making it.
This is what I'm saying. It's the greatest hits. It's the greatest hits. It's everything Resi's done. Yeah. The boss fight's the boss fight. I was a bit surprised when you get kicked off the machine and have to do it on foot. I
have to say, there was the one thing I will say is, of all the boss fights, obviously I think this is probably one of the better ones. And like, you feel like a badass in the tank thing, and obviously you do all that. Like I said, I'll be honest, when like I got knocked out and I had to carry on, I was like, you can't be serious. Like I genuinely felt a little bit sort of like underpowered, like, and I don't really felt that in any of the other boss fights, even the last one. Like, you go, what? I was in a tank, and now I've got to take him on without the tank. Are you serious? Like, so and I was like, no, I must have to run somewhere to get away from it. No, you're gonna have to turn around and pick up the ammo and go for it. So I have to say that was quite a good mix of like the awesome stuff at the start where you're like, this is badass, and then actually making you feel something in a boss fight. Because to be honest, the other boss fights are a little bit limp. We'll have to say shoot the head.
But
shoot
I
the head
don't think
with the
Resi
arse.
boss fights have ever been good.
No.
So-
That's fair.
Bar the Resi 3 remake, I have to say that. Like, I think the remake of Resi 3 with Nemesis is always brilliant. Every moment you have with him is fantastic, and that's where I always think like the level of action that they want to go for is so it's just playing Village now again. I really probably thought I was getting more of a slow burner game because 7 is way slower. It's way slower. It's probably way longer as well. I feel.
No,
Chris,
I
can
think
you
it's a
confirm
bit
that?
longer.
I completed it in less time than Village.
I remember 7 being
Really?
a bit longer, but
Wow,
I
can
did
we
it
actually
about
get?
long.
7 hours and
Well, we'll get to that. We'll get to the
50
village.
minutes.
Yeah.
We get to the village playtimes, I think, before we won't forget. Now we meet Mother Miranda properly. We've met her before several times. We just don't know it. We meet her.
bullshit. Bullshit.
Here we go.
Bullshit,
I
man.
can't remember if you do meet. Yes, you do, because this is where Ethan dies.
Yeah.
So
rips-
she
Where is
kind
it?
of reveals.
Is
Well, I don't think Ethan's dead.
You better
I'll say
not
that
be,
much.
man.
Well,
I don't think Ethan's
I was
dead.
I wasn't actually
He'll be
referencing
in
that
9.
bit. I was referencing the bit that.
Oh yeah,
find
no,
out-
sorry. The fact that she rips his heart out and yeah, she
and
rips
then
his heart
gets
out in
told
front
that
of
it's
him.
already dead from 7 is the other point I was referencing.
That's a bit later on, isn't it? That's after isn't that the scene you see a little bit later on?
Yeah. Sorry, I
So,
just didn't know which
so
bit you were
right
referencing.
now you meet Mother Miranda as Ethan.
Rip heart out.
She rips your heart out after kind of revealing a few bits, like she studied you and you've learned stuff along the way. Rips your heart out. You're dead. She's having a whale of a time. Reveals all of her mold magic. Ethan's dead, and now you're Chris Redfield.
And it turns into Modern Warfare.
You didn't like this bit.
Once again, like I actually had good fun playing it.
I was going to say I quite liked the power
I had good
empowerment
fun
of it.
playing
For a
it, but
minute. It was
it's
different.
another
I
thing
didn't-
where I'm like, cool,
His-
we're going to be Chris.
I love
Yeah.
that
Christ
every
almighty.
headshot was like they're dead.
The amount of
ev-
weapons you were given, grenades and everything, I was just
But I
like,
kinda
I'm
love
just
that.
like,
They were
sorry,
like-
this is cleaning house.
I kind
They
of
were
love that.
And they were like, and I'm sure you've clearly wasted 300 bullets. So here's 300 more of every weapon and grenade you could
Yeah.
possibly need.
So here's how much I had in my head. This game was still going to be bigger. At this point, when you switch to Chris, I thought you're going to play through the whole game now as Chris, and you're going to fill in because you do meet Chris at another point in the game.
yeah.
And I honestly thought, right, you're now going to play through all this game as Chris from his perspective. You don't. You play for about half an hour-ish. I don't know what it is. Maybe an hour. No, I don't know. Maybe it's an hour.
No, it's less. It's
No, it's less than that.
30 to 40
yeah.
minutes. You go through the village. You are super powered. Like your guns are major damage. There's no sponginess in the enemies now. Just their faces exploding. You plow through the village. You fight. It just drops a lot of story. But they kind of this is where they start dumping story.
I'm fairly sure at the start of being Chris, you're talking to Chevler from Resident Evil 5 on the radio.
Okay, so I don't even remember. Oh, you mean
Oh, Shiva, you mean
Oh, yeah, could
the
be.
your partner?
Yeah, because they mention Africa and she talks about being in Africa, and I'm fairly sure. I'll need to go back and double check.
That's definitely
that's
possible.
probably, yeah, that's a shout.
Yeah, it's
And
possible.
this is where, like, my problem with Resi, like when Ethan gets his heart ripped out, both physically and metaphorically.
Before he just pops it back in and goes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I just thought, oh, here we go. Like they're going back to like
So
using
near
all
yet
the
so far.
characters. Like I get Chris is a part of this game, but I want them to move forward in the story. And like when Chris is there and you're being Chris, yeah, it's pretty cool, like what you do. But I wasn't into it.
It's a very different game then.
And like the fact that it's solely Chris, like we still don't know if they're going to go and dive back into it all older characters. Where is Jill? Like it's been so many years since 6 since she died.
So I think she's going to be in 9.
Well, this is what I'm thinking, because but now if they're going to post credits future, how is she going to be in it unless she's a lot older?
I think she's part of the team. Well, that's true. She'd be older.
Well, because when there's a section where Chris is looking down and he's about to go down into the village and take out Miranda's big old black tendrils. Another helicopter pulls in. And he's like, "What are they doing?" I thought Jill was going to be on that.
See, I reckon that's who she's a part of the team of,
and which is cool. But like, if you're going to dive into the actual characters from old, then I would like to see.
I'm not sure they can. We don't want to jump too far, but I'm not sure you can because of the time jump at the end of credits.
Well, the end of that game is.
But anyway, can we jump back a bit? So, obviously, as Chris, the story reveal of like the links to Umbrella and everything, it's not actually the links to Umbrella, it's just the links to the logo that Umbrella nicked. Spencer nicked. Surprise. I was glad that it wasn't Wesker, if I'm honest with you. I said this to Adam.
Yeah, I don't know why you thought it would be. He's dead.
Because I found it. No, but this is from the past. So
oh, you mean? No. Wesker was never the originators of Umbrella and stuff, was he?
No, I know, but you didn't know it was going to definitely be that. So, like, it's basically because I don't know if you guys did, just before you get to the Stronghold, there's like a mini boss in a mill. I think it's Otto's Mill or something.
No,
there's a boss. It's an optional mini boss. And near there, there's some documents in that house. And again, it's bloody Capcom storytelling. And they're like, they said something about the mold. And then they say something like, it all seemed to start when that stranger came a few years ago. I'm probably overthinking it. It must be nothing. And I was just like, oh, for fuck's sake. I thought it's going to be bloody Wesker because it's always fucking Wesker. So then when it obviously you see the stuff as Chris and you realise it's Spencer, I was like, well, at least it's not. No, it's not him. Yeah. But yeah, I guess that explains the Umbrella logos and stuff because it's not actually the Umbrella logo. The Umbrella nicked that logo. Spencer nicked that when he was here. He was inspired by it. So he was like, okay, that's better than Umbrella setting up a lab here because that would have pissed me off. So I was like, okay, fine.
You do then find out, shock horror, Maya's not dead.
Yeah,
it wasn't Maya. That cell. Yeah, she's been in that cell for an indeterminate amount of time. They never tell you. We don't know when she was kidnapped.
No.
Don't like this bit because I feel like if you're going to story dump, you have to tell me when they did the switch. Who did the switch?
Yeah.
How, when, and why? Well, we know why.
So they're insinuating that all this time that Maya has been Miranda. And...
Well, no, but it can't be because Maya had the baby. So at some point, that, by the way, very young baby, at some point after having the baby, Miranda swapped out. And how long for? Because there's also that really weird scene at the start of the game, midway through the game, I think, where they do show a flashback to Maya going, you don't understand Ethan, and she's talking to him. Is that Maya still? Or is that Miranda? What's the relevant... It starts to eat its own tail a bit here.
Yeah, because it's implied that Mia knows what's going on with Ethan before we find out.
She knows, because
she knows
that's where they cut back to Ethan.
Yeah, so she knows. And there's things that they insinuate, like, she didn't tell him to protect him and protect the baby and things like that.
Which, by the way, makes no sense. Because if he's aware, he can protect the baby a lot better.
It's a bit like Chris not saying anything at the start for the purposes of the story. It's that nature, isn't it? But
didn't you want to see the rest of that scene with Maya and Chris? I wanted to hear her explanation to Chris.
I kind of I hope, because I do. I think that's the biggest thing. I'm like, I don't understand. I do wonder if is that going to be some sort of DLC further explored?
You play as Chris evacuating.
Are they not telling you stuff because they're going to tell you? That's what I hope, because I do agree with you. That was the bit where it's like,
that's shitty. Tell me in the game I paid for.
Okay, I mean, yeah.
It is, but that's shitty. Saying, we'll explain that if you pay for more content. No, no. So, but to be fair, we don't know this.
No.
This is guesstimation. Like,
if they've just not explained that, I think that's a miss. Because even now I'm like, okay, but when was Mia actually Mia? At what point? Well, was it literally the day before Miranda rocked up, or is it, or when was it? And what, like you say, what happened?
Does it matter? I suppose is the other question.
I suppose it doesn't matter. It doesn't. That's the point. At some point, it happened. I suppose is the point.
But what is the point is that for some reason Evelyn's back and is explaining, or is she? I don't know. Is it in his head?
I don't know.
I don't really know. He's telling.
He wakes up and
Ethan,
then she's just
you're already dead. You're basically all mold.
Remember all the shit you went through in 7?
Didn't you think it was strange you could have your hand cut off? Yeah, I did. I really did, Evelyn. And then Ethan's back to it. He's in the back with the Duke. Duke's for some reason helping him go there, and the Duke. This is where he tells him, "I can't really explain what I am myself." And we go. Ethan is going to fight Miranda. We just go. That boss fight.
Miranda?
Yeah.
Pissy.
In what respect?
I don't know. I don't know what it is or what I want from these boss fights, but I'm absolutely sick shit of stuff comes up and you have to hide behind it.
See, I felt like
and it just went on for so long.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I actually died like twice, I think, and I was just kind of like, oh my god, like I used all my good stuff, all my shotgun shells were gone, and I was like down to the piston. I felt like I wasn't actually doing damage.
Yeah, this is the thing. I didn't know if I was doing it wrong until she dropped.
Yeah,
I was like, is this right? Do I just basically shoot the shit out of it? And you do. I think. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
From my understanding, it's just shoot the head again. And yeah, there's things to contend with, like the darkness and stuff like that, and like you say, like hiding occasionally. But it's from what I can gather, from what I did when I did it, it was just put lead in her face.
So what's the deal with Rose? Because Rose is there.
Yeah. So this is where I was trying to say earlier about like I think like so the ceremony. She's brought it back together with the magic water. Okay, whatever. But for some reason, it's implied that she was expecting, because of the ceremony, to be her daughter, and it wasn't. It just brought Rose back.
Rose back again, yeah.
And they don't explain why, but they don't really explain the ceremony or anything or how it works. But like, you can tell that she's surprised, and then obviously he beats her, and the cutscenes that follow from, I don't know. Do we spoil that? Is there any point in spoiling that?
We spoiled the whole game.
We do.
I do think I have to say, like, I didn't know what had happened in 7, but I'm guessing you've never seen Ethan Winter's face up till now, because Christ, do they make it really obvious that after you've beat the final boss that you are never going that you're never going to see his face, to the point where I almost thought they were going to show it, because they've made there's so many camera scenes, camera angles where it's like you almost can, like they really made a point of doing it so many times that I thought they're going to show his face. And
he looks like Leon. The hair sort of flopping over the front. It's the wrong colour hair, but he looks a bit like Leon, but he's not Leon. I don't understand any of that last section. Like, I don't understand why Rose is there and it's not the baby. I don't understand why Ethan stays, and like Chris is like 2 men in one in his biceps. He could probably throw him over his shoulder. I don't understand why Ethan can't.
But really, when you play
the Chris, dead.
When you play the whole Chris moment in general, you could probably just have turned around to Chris and go, "Could you not have done this from the start?"
Yeah.
Like, you're just bossing it. You're destroying everything.
I don't understand why Ethan has to stay there and die. I don't believe he dies. I believe he's still there. I guess I don't understand the mold stuff. It comes back to the thing I said.
I guess what I took from it is the assumption that because this is the source of the mold and he's mold, if you destroy that, then you destroy Ethan. That's what they were going for. That's the vibe I got. So he was like, if you press that clicker, I'm dead anyway. So I could get out of it.
Then that's the end of the mold. The mold's gone, finished. So it can't be in 9.
So I'm sure there's some curveball that they've not thought about. But their plan...
That's the daughter, isn't it? Surely she's Evelyn, whatever.
Surely she's
the mold.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. She's the mold. So is she the antagonist?
So I don't know. I don't know if it's purely because, like I said, I don't know. It's Capcom storytelling, but like I don't know if it's because, and I haven't done 7, but like the vibe I got was he's 100% mold, and so therefore, like he's going to die.
But they knew that. We
other
didn't.
People apparently knew it.
We didn't,
apparently
and
so.
he
Apparently,
didn't.
Mia,
But Maya
did.
Chris did.
Yeah, and probably loads of other people. Dude in the glasses at the end probably knew.
Right, no, we're not ready for that bit. We're not ready for that fucking bit now. We're not ready for that.
Okay. So that I assumed that, whereas, like you say, I'm definitely convinced that Rose has got mold in her, but maybe doesn't die because she's not all mold. Don't know. I'm literally playing fast and loose with the truth here, but like that's the vibe I got.
Like Maya in 7, when she goes funny, like I like Chris, you played it recently, 7. Like when she goes funny at the start of the game and kind of you cure her, But
Do
what
you?
was? You remember you giving the well?
No, but do you? Like,
you
this is
choose,
it.
don't you?
She clearly isn't healed because she's had some sexy time with Ethan and created this baby. There's something special about it that Miranda obviously is connected to.
Because of the mold.
Because of the mold.
I just don't understand the mold stuff. But I mean, that's kind of the end of the game, really. Then we get the credits and we skip to at least 15 years.
Yeah.
At least. If
Yeah.
no, what she says she's 15.
I would say
I think she says I'm 15. I think I've got a funny feeling. I remember,
Right.
it's in my head. Who the fuck is the sunglasses guy?
Who's the person at the end? Do you think?
Who's the well?
And the person is like just walking towards the jeep.
Wesker.
No, you see, from a
Yes.
storytelling perspective, the beat before that is you're just like him, you know. Now, I mean, this whole fucking scene, the whole scene is the worst bit I've ever seen in a Resident Evil. One, he's clearly young. Okay, he's clearly young himself. So, who the hell is he to one know who Ethan was? To be able to say she looks like him, or is she saying he's just like Chris? She's just like Chris.
So, my take on this, and I didn't get as hung up on it
by
as
the
you.
way? Why is he calling her Evelyn? Yeah, because you haven't played 7. Why is he calling her Evelyn?
No,
He
it's
shouldn't know
not
about
because
Evelyn.
I know who Evelyn is. I know what Evelyn is, like
He
enough to
shouldn't.
know why he's calling. No, I know that. My take, I didn't get as hung up in it. My straight assumption as soon as he said Evelyn and then said the piece about you know, you look like him or you act like him. I think I can't remember which one.
You're
it is.
more like him than you know,
more like
or something,
him.
something
Yeah,
like that.
I assume it's as simple as the guy's just been briefed, read a file. Like what? Like, of course, it has to be. Like I say, he's not old enough to have known.
So then,
him.
who's the guy walking up to the car at the end?
I don't know. I'm not supposed to know. It's supposed to be a tease.
Well, no, but I think the tease is we've just talked to you about your dad, and now there's a mystery figure who you thought was dead. It's Papa, or is it Chris? Is it just Chris?
Oh Jesus Christ! It can't be Ethan, surely.
Well, I think it can because Chris would be 15 years older, and he's already what 40 something. He's got 55.
I mean, to play it so obviously in your face that he's dead would make it a surprise for 9 if he wasn't.
The issue I have with the post-credit scene of this game is that it makes the entire game feel like, and you're right, it's the middle part of a trilogy, but it makes the entire game feel like all it was a setup to get rid of Ethan Winters and make you play as his daughter Rose Winters. And I don't like that. Not because of any particular reason, but like you just spent 2 games invested in Ethan's story to have him very conveniently written out with Resi bollocks.
Yeah.
So that you can play as his daughter, who by the way is 15-ish.
I mean, I don't know. It could be. She could be slightly older than that. I'm not. She could. If they turn around and went, she's 18, 19, I wouldn't be like.
But the older they make her, the worse that makes the story. Because 20 years have passed now. You're suggesting 18 or 19.
Oh no, I understand. Yeah, yeah.
The older she is, the far worse the story is. So what the hell is 9 going to be then?
I don't know.
Or is it going to continue? I'm asking what you think. Do you think it's going to continue?
The point, my gut feel, and the way they did the ending with the father's story is now over. I genuinely thought they were going to do a Marvel thing, like where they do line was where they do like, but the daughters is just beginning, like, you know how it's like Captain America will return at the end of a Marvel film or something. I thought it was going to be like that. I was like, oh, please don't fucking do it, and they didn't. But yeah, my gut feel is that the way that they're doing that to set up that 9 is about her, and
it's definitely about her. She's going to be like, I don't know, like
she's been trained.
She's definitely the next big character. Like that's just what they're going for. And the future of Resi now is it's mental because we've had 2 games now in the first person perspective, and I'll say straight out that I do prefer 7. I still think 7 was a better game. It handled itself better, and I think Village, like when you get to that end credit, that whole end sequence of Village, and just think back of everything we just discussed, it's a mental game. It's mental. It's batshit insane in its layout.
I think Village as a video game is better. I unfortunately have a massive history with Resident Evil. Like I've said about it on our main podcast. I think I was the first kid in the area to import it, the first one, play it in black and white because I had a dodgy PS1. Like, you know, I have a massive history with this series, so I will always, unfortunately, overthink the story. I can't help that. I can't change that. As a video game, I think it's absolutely terrific. I enjoyed every moment of the playing of this video game. I really didn't like the story. I can separate the two in this case because I know that's kind of on me.
I'm kind of as a summary, as well as your greatest hits comment, I kind of feel the same. Like, I really enjoyed the gameplay, the gaming part of this game. I really enjoyed. Like, I didn't want it to finish. I didn't think it dragged. I thought, you know, it was, the pacing was good. The shooting felt good. The story, if I'm honest, and this is not giving it a free pass, I never go into a Resident Evil game thinking I'm going to be wowed by a Shakespearean narrative.
But not to interrupt you there, but I kind of think this is one of the problems I've got, that it's 2021.
But does it make any difference?
To me, it does. I think they need to read the room and be better.
I'm sorry. I kind of feel like we end up having the same conversation that we have with It Takes Two if we start going down that path. And I don't believe all games need to suddenly become...
No. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that it needs to suddenly be The Last of Us. But I'm more with Adam in that I don't think there's a vision anymore. Because
there hasn't been a vision since one.
No, but I disagree there. No, I disagree totally.
Yeah, that's strong. That's strong.
They have now got. They're running these remakes.
You know what I mean?
They're making these first-person games. I think at some point Revelations will come back for its third game. They are running now these 3, and they're trying to get multiplayer going, which they'll have to put lore into because it's Capcom and it's Resident Evil. They are now running all these Resident Evils that they're just going every time up in the air with, and I feel like the vision and direction is suffered because of it in terms of a narrative. I'm not saying it needs to be the best story of the year award. What I'm saying is, in 2021, I kind of think that what it needs to be is, if we were doing an award for worst story, it shouldn't be winning it every time there's a new game. Yeah, there's a difference between. I'm not saying it should be beating The Last of Us for best narrative. I'm saying it shouldn't be It's stupid. Like, and I don't mean that disrespectfully. I'm sure that it's been thought out and there's been storyboarded, but there's flights that I think this is the jump in the shark moment for the story. I now kind of don't care anymore about story in Resident Evil. Maybe that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to break people like me free. I kind of don't care.
I think
it's stupid now. It's gone beyond stupid.
I have to say now going through like 7 and getting Village, I think the mold is shit. I don't think it looks great. I think it's not a great part of the story for me. I'm not that scared of it.
It's not explained at all, by the way.
It's not really explained as opposed to like the T-virus or something like that, you know, and just before all that kind of thing. The mold is just
a man-made genetic virus. You know,
the mold just doesn't really hit it for me.
I still don't know what the mold is.
I also think as well, and it's weird to say it coming from just only the second game, but I don't know if I want it going forward in first person anymore. Like, not the next one. It's going to.
I'd like the aiming to be better. I'd like to take a bit of time and make the aiming better.
Bad.
The enemies just do this all the time. All the time.
They do that.
It's like, please stay, you know.
It's the surprise element, the overall surprise element of the first person perspective. When you do play it in 7, you're like, whoa, this is like mental. And it's kind of bizarre as well. I'm going to say it right now, like that they didn't put the VR compatibility within this. I also have to say that I don't think it feels like a next gen or new gen game fully. I think this, like, using the dual sense and all that jazz, it's not really set. Now that's just a different kind of conversation altogether. But like, the wow factor of Village wasn't like there a lot of the time for me, and I thought it was messy in its storytelling. And I just think that like it can be better. They can improve upon, like, even puzzles. Like, there was 1 or 2 puzzles in Village that we spoke about, and we were like, that was cool. But they kind of take a back seat on it. And then I'm wondering then, like, well, where are you going with it? What do you want? What are you trying to please the fans with?
This is the point, I think. Like, I'll be honest. Like, right, I think you certainly, Adam, you definitely put more weight to what this story is than I will, and we can just disagree on that. I think we just will.
Yep.
I think what you're touching on there, Adam, is the kind of point I was making earlier, which is, and you sort of said it with Greatest Hits, it's trying to be everything that it's ever done, and sometimes that will be fine for people. And do you know what? It was actually fine for me to go, I'm getting a bit of that there, a bit of that there, a bit of that there, and that's cool. But other people will be like, do you know what? I don't know what. Other people will be like, it's not. It's almost the vision point for a different reason. Like, what are you actually? What's the style of this game? You almost got like almost got like 4 games in a row, almost with what it does. And I don't mind that because it adds variety. You know, different sections feel different, and it keeps it fresh. But I know some people will be like, I'd rather have, I guess, a clear direction of what you're trying to be, whether it's puzzles, whether it's scares, whether it's action, whatever it is, consistently throughout. Because certainly the other games in the series, whether it's Resident Evil 1 or whether it's Resident Evil 4, even Resident Evil 6, you knew which type of game you were going into from the start because it kind of kept being that game throughout. I suppose that's probably the thing about Resident Evil Village. I liked it because it is that mix, but some people might be put off going, okay, now I'm doing that type of game. Okay, fine. Now I've got to move to this type of game. If you don't like that, you're going to be annoyed. If you do, you're going to be in for a good time, I think.
Yeah, I think probably overall I'm the one who likes it the least. Maybe I really did enjoy my time with it, but like I just don't like. I just want a really slow burner resi game again. I think, like, and I want to feel threatened and scared all the time.
Do you know what? Right, I there is part of me, and I do agree with you. I think if they made 9.
Yeah.
And it made me feel like I did when I first played 1, I'd be really happy. Because there's a bit of, and I think that's dialing back a bit of the action. Now, I love Resi 4. Resi 4 is my favourite, but the reason I said it is because I've got Resi 4, and I've kind of had 4 again with 8 quite a lot. So I think, if they had puzzles, a bit of the fear factor, there's a lot of fear factor in 1, you know, the unnerving, don't really know what's going on thing. If they did that, I'd love 9, I think, and it probably would make me really happy because I feel like 4, 5, and 6 were very action heavy. 7, I feel, tried to go almost towards, from what I gather, the scary, creepy side. Certainly for the first part, I don't know how it. I know it shoots its load a bit early from what I hear. So if I don't have an action-led Resident Evil for 9, I wouldn't be bothered. But actually, because like I say, that house moment, the house on the doll's house moment that we're all saying is probably the best part of the game. So actually, if they made me feel like that, I would be really happy with that.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting going forward, and I think like this is probably I said this at the start to you just before recording. I think this is to me the most controversial Resi game since probably 6. Like, I think 6 and Village are now the 2 where 6 is definitely the one that came out and you're like, oh Jesus, it's all over the shop and it's just so action and not difficult and all that jazz. Village just has bits of so many things, and then story-wise, it needs to fix itself. It can't fucking do what it's like. There's too many questions. Well, what's that? What's that? What's that? Too many of those.
It is also the middle of a trilogy.
Yeah, it will divide opinion, I think, the most.
I think so too. I think we don't know at the time of recording anyone's review score, apart from the GodisaGeek one, because Chris told us. I could see this getting 10s. I can see this getting 6s. I really could.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
I really can see this being a marvel.
Because of what you just said.
By the time this podcast is up, I'll be right or I'll be wrong. I think there will be. I think there'll be massive backlash about the lack of Dimitrescu. And that's
I just cannot wait to see that. Like, because that's going to really blow minds, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think it genuinely. I would not like to pick the Metacritic or OpenCritic of this. I think it will probably do fine. I think it will be 80s plus. I think probably there'll be more 9s than there will 6s. But I do think it will be a game that people will be like, in time reviews it, man. Like I'm so glad I didn't.
I said that exact sentence to you. I said, I'm so glad I'm not reviewing it. Because
I was going to end this by saying, what score would you all put on it? And I still couldn't. I think I'd give it an 8.
I think I'd be 8, 8.5, that sort of range, I think.
I'd be a 7, I think.
See, but the thing is, what I can't deny is that I literally played the game in 2 sessions. We didn't get to it. We were going to ask how long the game took. It was 8.5 hours for me. I know it was 8.5 for Chris. I don't know about you two.
You
Chris,
go.
I would guess yours is 15. Chris Hyde.
No, mine was 11 something.
Okay, that's
like I say, that's
were playing
that's the two reasons.
Yeah.
Get every room blue, and I probably spent about an hour trying to find the pissing labyrinth puzzle.
Yeah.
So
I was 9, and I just want to say there as well that I took my time. I was getting those blue rooms and all that jazz. I was really enjoying my time in Discovery, because I really do think this is a good game. But
did you find the extra bosses? Like Chris mentioned that side boss. I didn't find that one. I found one, not that one though.
I found one. I don't know. I don't know how many side bosses there are.
That's what I mean. So there is.
I feel like I discovered a lot.
And there are secret areas as well that I was speaking to Anne about that he didn't find. So I think there is content in there.
Oh yeah,
I don't know.
It's one of those resi games where you're like, you could probably finish it in like 3 hours, right? And there's probably a gun to unlock.
Speedrunners will do it.
Yeah. So it's probably the same.
I gotta say that, like, do you know, like with 9 hours down, felt way longer.
I felt like I played a lot longer.
More time.
I
was so surprised.
But I think that's a good thing in some senses, because I do feel like, whilst I wish the castle bit was longer, there was a lot going on in the castle, and the same with the house. Like, oh, it was only like an hour or two. That felt like there was a lot going on.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's different ways of looking at it, I suppose, isn't it? But
I didn't feel robbed. I felt it did feel short. I was quite surprised, but that's more on me because my expectation was it was going to be this big Last of Us style thing, and of course it's Resident Evil. I would not. I don't think I'd want them, not in first person either, to do that. But I don't know, what will the future bring? You know, I gave Chris my prediction for what they will call Resident Evil 9, and I'm going to reveal it here so that when
I can't. I've been racking my brains to think of a better one, and I can't. So I'm going to go with yours.
So just take the credit. I'm going to say it'd be called Resident Evil Phoenix. Okay, because in Phoenix you've got IX, which is the Roman numeral for 9, like Village, yeah. So they'll stick to that kind of naming convention where it's technically not called Resident Evil 9, but it'll have the Roman numeral IX for 9 in there. So Phoenix. It will also be about rising from the dead, from the flames, you know, coming back. You heard it here first.
If that came out as Phoenix, my mind would be blown.
Well, really, you have that little.
And obviously, if it doesn't, it's because Capcom have listened to this Spoilercast and changed it.
Well, the rumor is that 9 has been in development for a long time alongside 8. So
interesting. Well, look, I think
overall, will it be a large bollocked man this time called Professor Eunuch, and he walks around his Bloodborne style village with his knackers hanging low? We'll find out when Resident Evil Phoenix launches. Phoenix.
It's going to be, look, Village is going to be an interesting one. I can't wait to hear everyone else's opinions on it.
Do you know what? That's an important thing. Let us know. Again, I
want to know, like,
watched or played through this game yourself to reach the 2-hour point of a spoiler cast. In the comments below, if you're watching on YouTube, we genuinely want to know what you think of it.
Yeah.
You don't need to tell me that I overthink the story in Resident Evil. I'm well aware.
Tell him again.
Don't tell me again. Tell us what you think of the story. What did you like? What did you not like? Anyone watching this, be aware that this is a spoiler cast, so there will be spoilers down there in the comments as well. Right. 2 hours have passed. Resident Evil Village is out. It is over to you, the audience, to tell us what you think of Resident Evil Village. We lost Chris White there at the end, unfortunately, but Chris Hyde is down there with Adam Carroll just there on the video. I'm Adam Cook. This is GodisaGeek.com's Resident Evil Village Spoilercast. Thank you for being on the journey with us, and it was a journey. We're all still friends. Finish the game if you haven't. For Christ's sake, please have finished the game before you listen to this. Down in that comments, we want to know what you think of Resident Evil Village. Thank you for listening, and we will speak to you in our next regular podcast. It's been a while since we've done this Spoilercast, and I enjoyed it tremendously. So we will hope to do more stuff. It just needs to be games like this that we can do it with. Adam, Chris, thanks for being here.
Thank you, fella.
Thank you.
And we'll speak to you guys whenever you choose to listen next. Bye for now. Ooh, spooky Resident Evil wave.